All right. Let's get this thing started. Going to the first slide. One of the first things that is good to get a handle on is really just terminology, right? In every different ERP, whether it's SAP, QuickBooks, Dynamics, whichever one it may be, NetSuite, there's terminology for things, and they all mean the same thing, but people call them different. In Dynamics, I listed out some of the terms that you'll see a lot, and I just want to make sure you all know that it is stuff that you know like the back of your hand. It's just called something different. You'll see site and business unit all over the place. Every store location inside a Turf Hub will be a different site and a different business unit. When you see it in the world of Dynamics, the site is more related to inventory, physical location. The business unit is going to be more of like a cost center. It's going to be more ledger and financial driven, but they're a one-to-one. The Turf Hub Dallas site has a Turf Hub Dallas business unit, and they will always be together. They won't be separate. There won't be two business units for one site or vice versa. Reserving, and I can talk from way back here, that way people can see that as I'm talking. Reserving is something that you do with inventory. With inventory, we reserve and pick it. A reserve is really like you're placing it on hold. The inventory can and will still be in the bin. It's not been pulled yet. It's just, hey, I'm wanting to hold this for my order. A pick is when you've actually pulled that inventory off the shelf and you're ready to ship it. Okay, and so you'll see in some of the screens that they go over that will build you a pick list. What that means is it's going to build you a list of all the inventory that's been reserved and or the inventory that's just on an order, and show that you need to pick it. Within Dynamics, and without me getting too deep before we start doing hands-on stuff, you can pick inventory without it being reserved. Okay, so just an FYI. A batch number is your die lot or your lot. I think in QuickBooks you guys call it the MO number. So you all know what that is. You'll see serial number a lot. That's your roll number. You do have a status that you'll put onto inventory. There's available, allocated, inspect, and off quality. 99.9999% of the time it's either available or off quality. We really don't move. You will see in your inventory on hand how much of an inventory item you have reserved and how much of it you have picked, and then how much you have totally available. So the status really doesn't give you, we don't drive the status to show you how much you have on hand, basically is what I'm saying. Batch invoicing. I know in QuickBooks you have a sales order and you go to the invoice and you print off an invoice. In Dynamics, the invoicing process is just a little bit more thorough, right? I mean, it is something that you have to generate. So what we do, and every company inside of Dynamics does this, we automatically at night invoice for you. We have a batch invoicing process that everything you ship that day with some criteria will invoice at night automatically. We also have batch jobs that will email us as a group. You all will be inside of an email group, and it'll email you the bill of lading that for everything that's shipped that day, and it'll also email you the invoice that's shipped that day. There are settings on the customer that will allow for that bill of lading and for that invoice to be emailed to the customer at night as well. Order status. This is something when we merge with Controlled Products that they do a very good job with. Jessica go into a lot of detail with it, but we have statuses on the sales order that allow you to, that basically allow you to stop things from going through a process, right? If you have an order that is pending payment or customer approval and you don't want anyone to ship that order, then you can mark it on hold, pending customer approval, pending payment. We also have order statuses that we apply automatically. At night when we go to batch invoice stuff, if you have a sales order line that has a $0 amount on it, let's say the unit price didn't get entered or somehow got wiped out, and the sales order line has $0 on it, we will not invoice it. When you invoice it, you have to return it. So we don't go to the point of invoicing it until we're pretty sure we got a good product. So we'll flag that with a status of DNI, which is do not invoice, $0 SOL, which is sales order line. You guys, they'll show you how to filter your views so that you can see all of those when you come in the next day or in the afternoon. You can, at that point with those for the do not invoice $0 sales order line, you can tell us by changing the status that it's intended to be $0 and we'll invoice it that night. Or you can fix it and change it back to okay to invoice and we'll invoice it that night. You'll see sales taker and sales responsible. Sales taker is who is taking the order. Sales responsible is your salesperson. We did go through, the sales responsible will default from the customer. We did go through your QuickBooks data and we did assign an employee, a sales responsible person to that customer that will automatically populate. Not every customer has it, but when you create an order, you'll see it's right there. You can change it, or you can change it, or you can just enter it to start with. If you see one for a customer that is wrong, we'll show you how to change that. Mode of delivery is basically how is this order going to be shipped. You guys have will call or CPU quite a bit. That'll be the vast majority. We can assign that mode of delivery to certain customers, whatever it is, if they kind of always ship the same way or if they always pick it up, and it'll default for you. And lastly, financial dimensions. Now, financial dimensions are basically your business unit and department. So when you hear somebody talking about financial dimensions, and dimensions another word that you're going to hear in Dynamics a whole lot, but financial dimensions is your business unit and department. It's your cost center, but it's all over the place. Any questions on those in that terminology?
Real quick question, if I'm too deep and you want to address it.
No.
Does reserve or allocate to a specific customer?
To an order.
It does. So we use holds. But
Yeah.
hold, not the
Yeah.
different terminology than your hold.
But it's the same thing, right? And so we also do a thing called inventory blocking that is exactly like a reserve. It looks, smells, and acts like a reserve. But whenever you, for instance, whenever you assign a roll number to a cut, let's say it's a 15 by 10, 150 square feet, we reserve or block on hold 150 square foot of that roll so that nobody can cut the whole roll up or assign the whole square footage of the roll. Now you'll notice, and that's a good question you got right there, when we're talking about reserve and pick and pack, I skipped over pack, I'll go back to it. But reserve and pick, they're the biggest difference in QuickBooks and Dynamics. And 3 months down the road, every one of you will see it because you will be really good at Dynamics. But the biggest difference is there's a whole lot more inventory accountability. Dennis is here. He's gonna be your inventory hero for months to come. But, you know, you do have to reserve that role. You do have to assign the role to the cut. And I know in QuickBooks, you guys put it in the sales order, the role that you're gonna cut, but this is more of an action that you have to take towards the inventory. And pack, I skipped over it. Pack is basically what Dynamics calls a shipment. Okay? All right, go ahead, Mike. All right. So one of the things that we want to get you guys familiar with is what I like to call the utopian path, which is the good way. I want, when it comes to y'all's orders, 90 to 95% of them are going to happen exactly like they're supposed to. No errors, no hiccups in the inventory. Everything's how you expect it to be, and it's just going to flow right through. All right, that other 5 to 10% is going to take, for the first 3 months, going to take some intervention. We'll help you. We're going to be there for a good period of time. We're going to have somebody cycling through being on site, particularly, you know, the first week. And we won't leave until everyone's comfortable. So what I put here for the Dynamics data flow is there are 5 forms, really, that you should have to deal with on a continuous basis for a normal order with no surprises. The first one is by front desk staff, and it's the sales order form. And I'm glossing over these. You are about to go through training with Maggie and Jessica to get into the details. So this is very high level. This is what you're going to do. But the basic gist of the sales order is you're going to enter the order. You're going to enter what items, the quantity, the pricing, validate the business unit, because the business unit will automatically populate for you coming from the customer. You know, we also, when we pulled customers from when we pulled them from QuickBooks, we were also able to tie really kind of what location they were coming out of. But if they're wrong, you have to make sure they're right. On the sales order for the business unit, when what that business unit value is where the revenue gets reported. So if you're in Dallas and one comes through and it's for Austin and you didn't change it, that revenue is going to show up on Austin's books. Just so you know. All right, this is also where you'll enter the cuts. There are 2 different processes. One is called quick cuts, and the other is called roll cut setup. The only difference between quick cuts and roll cut setup, in quick cuts you will assign inventory to the cut. Roll cut setup, you just enter the cuts. Okay? I think we talked to a large group of people last week, and their feeling is that front desk will enter it as a quick cut and assign inventory to it, and then they're going to move it to a queue called schedule cuts, which I'll get into in just a moment. And the warehouse staff will validate the inventory that front desk said to cut, and then either unassign that role, assign a new role, or make the cut. Okay, so it'll be up to them. That process may be different per store. There is absolutely nothing that dictates that front desk cannot assign inventory. There's nothing that says warehouse has to be the one responsible for it. Okay, so as you learn more over the next 6 weeks, we'll determine what do we want to do day 1. And then after day 1, we'll determine what we're going to be doing on day 9. Okay?
And Mark and I will be there next week at all the 5 stores.
Yeah.
I think Houston's going to be straight, just quick cuts, straight to the cut table. And it will.
Well, no, we moved it from cut table because we were told that they do want the warehouse staff to at least validate
Okay, I didn't know if you used any wood or not, but, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So when we do roll cuts, there are two cues that inventory cuts go into. And I really do want you to think of this as, how do we step roll cuts through the building? All right, don't think of the system, nothing. How do we make a cut? First thing we do, they tell us what roll sizes we want, all right? Once they have the roll sizes in and determined and they click OK, it shows up in a queue of all your cuts called scheduled cuts. All scheduled cuts are all the cuts for all the orders that have been entered. If you look at controlled products, because of how many cuts they do every day, there's 300 or 400 in there. You guys per store won't be that much, right? It's going to be manageable. You're going to know which orders are going out the door that day. We have information on that, the ship date and all this other stuff that gives you that. We have comments that people at the front desk have entered that will tell you when something is hot and needs to ship that day. So you'll see all that information. But from a warehouse perspective, schedule cuts, you're going to look at all the cuts and you're going to, let's say that you see one for all play. You have 5 different orders from 3 different people, different roll sizes that you need cut, and you're going to look at it and you're going to be like, hey, I can cut these 2 rolls instead of the 5 rolls that they assigned to it. So you can unassign the inventory they did, apply the 2 rolls, and cut them off from 2 different rolls. You will be completely in charge of what inventory, and that's the main function of schedule cuts, what inventory is assigned to that roll cut and order. Okay? Once you've got the inventory assigned to it, there is a button called Release to Make Cuts. Make Cuts is the second and final cue of the cut process. In all honesty, it is a cut table with a computer there, and we don't have to put the computer at the cut table. We can have it in the warehouse manager's office. He can print the labels, take it to them, along with a pick list, or we can put it at the cut table and they can just sit there, load it up, cut it. So Make Cuts is a list of all the rolls that has been through warehouse validation. I need for you to go pull this roll and make a cut. When they click Make Cuts, it prints a roll ticket off for the roll that you've cut with the sales order and customer's address on the roll ticket. It'll print your roll ticket for the master roll and the balance left. All right. There are cool functions on the Make Cuts, like pull and pulled. I don't know that you guys will need it, but at the distribution center, when we're going there tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Okay, so when you go to the distribution center tomorrow, you'll see they have people just standing at the cut table, right? So on these cuts, the guy running the cut table will say, I want these 3 orders, I want you to pull them. The lift truck operator has an iPad on the lift truck that shows him a list of what they want him to pull. He'll go grab it, shows him the location where to get it, the whole 9 yards. He brings it to the table, relocates it, sets it down, and tells the cut table operator, I've pulled it. So there's 2 different flags there, and that way he knows what's on his cut table. The cut tables I've seen for you guys are not quite like these. We have 5 to 10 rolls that they stack on the cut table, to load up. So you may or may not use that. It'll be up to you. You won't use it day 1, but long term, when we get used to it, you may. So that's Make Cuts. Hit me the next one, Mac. All right, and now we get into shipping. There are 2 forms that we built for shipping. One is called Batch, Reserve, and Pick. And believe me when I tell you, anybody that does the update line pick, right, Jessica?
I took it out.
This Batch, Reserve, Pick is a lifesaver. But what this form is it will show you every sales order line, every item that has been sold. And it'll show you what has been reserved against that line item and what has been picked. So when you're shipping a sales order, oh, one thing I forgot to mention. Make cuts also, after the cut is made, will automatically reserve the turf you cut to that order. So it automatically puts it in a reserve status.
Johnny, can I get you
Yes.
to back up? Can you transition from that last slide to here
Yes.
one more time?
All right.
Somewhere I didn't follow from the make cuts to where
To the
we're
batch
getting
reserve.
the batch
All right,
reserve.
so go
I
pop
didn't
that.
follow that.
All right. So let's follow the inventory really fast. Sales order, enter the cut. Schedule cuts, we assign inventory to it. Make cuts, we actually make the cut. The make cut assigns and reserves the inventory, the turf inventory, to the sales order.
And it's cut at this point.
It's cut
Okay.
with a label shipping, ready to ship to the customer.
And the other label is gonna go on the remainder roll?
Yes.
Both roll. Okay,
Yes.
so that's the stage, that's what,
All right, so at this point, from a warehouse directive, you're gonna have to decide, are we gonna stage this inventory? Or are they here to pick it up? Okay? You're gonna have people that have go to the next one, please. You're gonna have people that are sitting here with the batch reserve form pulled up. It's always gonna stay up. You're gonna have 4 or 5 tabs of these different forms that you wanna bounce between. But the batch reserve and pick tells me, it shows me how many cuts are needed for a given sales order, how many cuts have been made. It basically lets you know when a sales order is ready to ship. Okay, so when you make that cut and it's reserved, it's automatically indicated in batch reserve that this cut's been made. You can ship it. So now all you gotta do is put your non-serialized inventory. You can reserve, and the reason it's called batch reserve and pick, you can reserve and pick from this form, just like that. If you've got 20 bags of sand that you need to load, you'll click on the sales order line for sand, which nothing's happened to yet because nobody's reserving that. So it's sitting there. You're saying, okay, the roll's ready for me to go. I need to get this sand ready. It'll show you all the inventory that you have of sand for that given item down below. You'll say, pick it, and you're ready to ship. Just like that. It's one button click. When we go through, you'll have far many more questions, Brad, but when you see it, it'll make a lot more sense. After everything is picked and ready to ship, there is a batch packing form. The batch packing form will show you it'll show you every sales order, not a line, but it'll show you sales orders. It will tell you this sales order has 3 lines on it. It's got turf, it's got sand, and it's got glue, okay? And it'll show you the lines down below when you click on it. It will show you how many of those lines have been reserved or picked. You may have been picked, but the turf hasn't been cut yet, right? So it will show you I have 2 lines picked out of 3, and then it'll show you down at the bottom of each line which ones haven't. So this basically is another indicator what is ready to ship right now. We have filters on that form that will show you, I only want you to show me sales orders when the reserved and picked match the number of lines. So that is truly every sales order that's ready to ship. Simple button, you click pack now, it ships it. It'll open up a new window in Dynamics and print and give you the bill of lading that you can print right then and there. Hand to the customer, is out the door. Again, that is a very, very high level of the 5 forms that will get you an order from the time the customer walks in to the time they're driving off. If 90 to 95% of your orders will only be touched on those 5 forms. Of course, there's inventory functions, adjustments you gotta make, all this kind of stuff. There are other things you're gonna do, but this is the simple order flow. Okay, it sounds easy, right? It doesn't?
Get this.
Easy or scary? Well, you know,
I mean, my feeling is, I think the sales order process is, I think the biggest adjustment we're gonna have to make is on the warehouse side,
it is.
the side of it, because I'm just trying to envision in which one of our warehouse, we're gonna be clicking on a screen to see if the sand's been loaded. I mean, that. And I mean, unfortunately, we don't have, I mean, you said we're gonna have a person there to click on this tab and point out.
have those people.
That's, I mean, that's
when you
what
have
the
20
vision,
customers
that's what
waiting,
Navision made us put in. Remember Jason McDonald? That's what he did in Dallas. That's what those guys, those are
All right.
literally an order processing.
So let me
position.
tell you how my brain works for that, Brad. I've spent time down there with you guys landing for 2 days, right? And go back one tab now. You guys entered an order, chose the roll number that you wanted as the item in QuickBooks, right? And you said how much square footage you want, and you made some indications about where it was located. You wrote all that stuff down there. Then you took that sheet of paper and you took it to what's his name? What's his name?
Todd would be
The
there.
warehouse
Todd.
manager.
All right, so you took it to Todd. Todd took that sheet of paper and pulled the inventory, right, to make sure that, hey, it really is as big as we thought it was.
Yep.
We can make the cut or we can ship it for this. And then you basically loaded it up out the door.
Released to make cuts, right?
Yeah. And you made a cut, you know, to make it happen. So here's how I envision that facility running. You guys will enter the order, you'll enter the roll cut sizes, you won't take him that sheet of paper because it's gonna show up in scheduled cuts. He's gonna sit there and look in scheduled cuts, he's gonna see an order and it's gonna say, this is hot, we need it shipped, the customer's here, we need to ship it right now. He's gonna see that, he's gonna say, yes, this inventory is what I want to cut, he's gonna release it to make cuts, one click of a button. And make cuts, he's gonna go to his next tab, he's gonna say cut it, it's gonna print off his labels. Right, on batch, pack, and reserve, you're going to be able to get a pick list. So you'll be able to go there and say, hey, for this order, this is everything I need picked. He's going to go ahead and pick it. He's going to hand them the sheets of paper. They're going to make the cut. They're going to load the truck. And he's going to click pack. He's going to do a bill of lading.
So what we're
About
missing,
5 clicks.
the missing is the transition between who's making the cut and who's loading everything else that isn't, that
And so,
isn't.
but right now you're handing them paper, right? And Todd still will. Todd will have a sheet of paper that says, I need for you to do this. just
So we're
like
still
it
gonna,
says
so
today.
at this point, we're gonna give them the pick list and
Unless
they're
you-
gonna split it up.
Unless you put make cuts at the cut table.
Yeah,
I don't see you putting it at the cut table.
well, I don't see how we can make that
So
work.
he would be printing out the order instead of us
In
taking
his
it to the
office,
warehouse.
he'll print it
He
off,
needs
get
to be
the
in a
labels.
computer and
Yeah,
we're gonna be
Just
telling
sitting
him
on
in
it.
the station.
yeah,
Or
so
you
Todd,
guys can do
that's the
scheduling.
Jason McDonald, that spot,
It
but
really
I
is,
never left that
it's not gonna
spot.
matter who does it.
It's not a
Each
working
store will
warehouse
be
manager.
different.
No, that's not that's an order
It's a-
processor.
an
We
order
literally
processor.
need that order
Somebody needs to be
processor.
there.
Correct.
That's the role, that's not.
And Brad, I was just telling them, I don't care if you have front desks doing schedule cuts and make cuts. They enter the cut on the sales order in quick cuts, assign the inventory on schedule cuts, they say, go ahead and make it. You go to make cuts, you click the one button, it prints off the tickets in
And
his
bring it
office or
to
you,
him.
and you take him a sheet of paper and the roll tickets, and you say, here you go.
You know, for a customer like DFW who picks up 4 orders on one trip a day, or every time they come in.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think, cause you know, before we'd have each order, they'd write the PO numbers down so we know what they're picking up per truck. You know, one would have 30 bags, one would have 30 bags, and they'd say, go load a pallet. Each one would be a separate pick.
You'll have different pick lists for each one of them.
And you're imagining the way this looks in your head, I promise you, it's really simple.
Yeah, and when you assign a spot up there, I mean, my mind is, I'm like, you know, sales order, that's Roxy, you know. Cut it. At that point in time, I almost think then we almost have to go back to, at that, when we release to make cuts, it's gotta give us that pick list that you said, and we, from there on, Landon, I think the process is almost identical to what we've done before, until the back end of the invoicing. That's why my question to you from, you know, the make cuts to the next screen, that was the transition part that
Yeah,
I wanted to understand better.
And
when
part
that-
of the reason it's separated, one, because in the company, recreational group size. When you're dealing with controlled products, turf factory direct and express, all in one DC, those are many different people. Like batch, pack, and reserve is 4 people. Batch, they're 4 people each, right? So there's a lot of people touching a lot of things. For you guys, it could be a little easier. One thing Dennis was mentioning, and we made this an option for you guys, you can go from the sales order straight to make cuts if you don't want a warehouse to validate the turf at schedule cuts. Schedule cuts was really, hey, I see I have 10 cuts on 5 different orders for the same turf. I want to really rearrange this and cut my 2 larger rolls or get rid of some smaller rolls than maybe you would if you were entering 1 cut at a time. So schedule cuts is really just a chance for you to look at it as a group of cuts and decide what's best. It will totally be up to you guys. It is, we can change it and adjust it on the fly.
I mean, just like you put in Chad's perspective, Chad, every roll he picks is.
Chad Clausen,
you
Chad
have to.
Clausen's,
He's
I
a
mean,
processor.
for what I'm seeing, Chad Clausen, this is Chad
processor.
Clausen. And
That's what we talked about last week.
Jason McDonald would be the guy if we can get him back, I mean.
And one last thing I wanted to say, that batch packing, that batch shipping screen by itself, I had Arizona in mind where they've got at their back dock door, that whole shipping station, right? So a customer walks up and says, hey, I got order 1, 2, 3. They look at it in batch packing, they say pack it, they print off the bill of lading, hand it to them, and it's loaded. That was the process I want to make sure we cover as well. Go ahead, Jessica.
I just wanted to say, before we went into Dynamics, we kind of followed things through with paper also. We printed our orders out, we took them to the cut table, they made the cuts as we were taking the orders out there, so it's kind of the same process. And once we really got into Dynamics and like learned the workflow of like schedule cut, make cuts, it's a world of difference.
So what,
Yeah, our challenge is to prioritizing when you have 10
Yeah.
will calls in your parking lot and
And you know.
and which one's the gray Ford, which one's the blue Ford, which one's the gray Ford with
The
the
white
gooseneck,
contractor
which
Ford.
one's.
And we have added comments where you could put gray Ford, blue Ford, whatever, and they would see that on schedule cuts. The difference is, honest to God, because I looked at that sheet of paper that y'all had, the sheet of paper becomes a computer screen. Because it's got all the information on that paper is right there on the screen. So that's the shift. You're going paper
Paperless.
to non-paper.
And you're
It
doing,
doesn't mean you have to quit paper for right now, but I can tell you that's the difference.
well, you're still handing the customer a card, right, with a number on it.
That's what I was gonna say, is
So you
there
can
a
put the
way?
number on the sales order.
Yes.
Or you can put it on the cut, right? I mean, we added this week actually, what's called roll remarks. Thank you. We added a comment for shipping that you can put in there, customer number 10, customer number 11, customer number 12. And they will see it on schedule cuts and make cuts. And we can add it actually to batch reserve pack, batch reserve pick, and batch pack.
And if you put it in the side mark, it'll print on the roll label.
Yeah.
So they'll know what customer it is by printing on
Yeah.
the roll label.
And you're gonna have the customer name and address on the roll label as well.
So the guys in the warehouse won't be able to cut those rolls if the customer's already calling, paying, and wanting us to have it ready by the time they get there?
Yeah, you just have to enter the order, enter the cut, and then they
Uh-huh.
can make it.
Because then when that happens is when they come in, they'll check in, say picking up for quality, and then we'll give them a number, and then that's how they define of who, from the sales order in our office of what truck it goes to, if we have 5, 6, 10 trucks out back.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much will be the same.
Yeah, the challenge is after it's cut, you're not gonna be able to put it on the roll tag or anything. I mean, there still has to be interaction with that. Hey, quality's here to pick up. If we pre-cut it, I mean, they gotta still know who put.
And you will,
Yeah, I mean,
because the
yeah.
customer name and address is on that roll label. Right. And the sales order is on. Number, for this number, we can add that to the label.
I think what they're saying, like, the customer calls, like if I call in and say I wanna come pick this up, they don't give them a number until he actually gets there. So the rolls would already be cut, but that, you can work out a simple, like even if.
But there's no sand assigned, there's no glue assigned, there's none of that assigned this side. He's given us his cuts and
Yeah, but on your pick list, you could, before you print the pick list at that point, that number could be on the pick list somewhere. And then the only thing would be the rolls, which have the customer name, address, all that information that matches. It wouldn't have the number on the roll, but everything else matches the pick list.
When I was there,
That's-
when I was there for 2 days, and I am not arrogant enough to think that I noticed and watched everything you guys did, but I am confident that I've watched what 90 to 95% of your orders do. Watched it intently. I studied QuickBooks as much as I could. I know a lot of things that are not seen in QuickBooks. But we really did spend a lot of time in the last 3 or 4 months trying to make this be exactly like you do today. This quick cuts that we keep talking about is brand spanking new. Never been used before. Jessica and them are about to try it out when we put it in production tonight.
I'm excited about it.
But that form is just like when you're in QuickBooks and you're picking your item and you're going through looking to see which roll. I make quick cuts look just like that because I knew that should be an easier transition for you.
And to make you feel better, what our plan is, so I'll be in Texas next week, Mark will be in Arizona. So we want to work with Landon and Chris to walk through this entire process in your warehouse and see if there's any things we're missing.
Yeah.
Because we can test it, we can walk through a full order multiple times.
I mean, look, there's always gonna be a way.
No doubt, that's what
that's-
when you stepped out, Brad, one of the things I told them, this that I'm showing you, these 5 forms, 90 to 95% of your orders are be fulfilled that way. 5 to 10% is gonna take, all right, a little bit more about it, right? And so we know that, we're fully aware of it. We're gonna go live on August 1st, no matter how many testing hours you guys have between here and then. And there's gonna be something, right? There's just gonna be something that has stumped us. My job is to make sure it limits it to 1 to 2 or 3 orders, and we can muscle it through. I have a personal goal. Day 1, we do not miss 1 single shipment. Not 1. That's my goal.
On another perspective, when it comes as a sales rep.
Say what?
Huh?
I know it's lofty. There's no doubt about it. But Jessica can tell you, we went through some hard times when we put control products in. Difference is control products was $100+ million, 120 users. They had production, they had distribution, they had not retail, but order entry on such a massive scale. I mean, they're doing, from a sales perspective, they're doing anywhere from $350,000 to $500,000 a day. When we flipped the switch on control products, we bit off a mountainside, right? It was bad.
It was bad.
Yeah, with Turf Hub, number 1, you get the value of the lessons learned at Control Products, which is a big deal. I mean, we went through a lot of things to make sure that reservation and pick is fluid. And so we learned a lot of lessons there. The new thing on this side is for retail, right? So we added quick cuts to help retail. We added a new thing called RG payments to help with retail. We're adding batch jobs that's going to total up the amount of cash and checks and ACH and all the money that you received in a given day. And we're emailing that out to you every day. Hey, this is what we received by store every day. So there's a lot of retail stuff we've added. Is it going to be perfect? No. Are you going to hate it week 1? Yes. Right, you will. I mean, and it's only because it's going to make you work just a little bit harder because you don't know where to click, and it's going to be frustrating. But we really do want you to take advantage of these training sessions like this. And Maggie and I talked earlier for Houston West, we're gonna offer 4 training classes next week. 2 sales, 2 warehouse, and we're only gonna deal with Houston West people. And we're gonna walk them through and help them understand. Now, the great news is front desk clerk is not gonna be hired till July 1st. So she's gonna get on the job training day 1, but we'll be there. I'm not worried about Houston West. If Houston West was all we had, I wouldn't even, lose an ounce of sleep.
Boy,
But that August 1st, that whole month of the last week of June and the whole month of July, we're gonna offer those training sessions over and over and over and over. We ask that you give up 2 hours a week. If you wanna know front desk and warehouse, then join 2 of those a week. If you wanna do sales, then do 2 sales a week. And we're gonna go through those and just get it to where you're comfortable to know where you're clicking. We're gonna go through scenarios of, hey, I need to adjust this inventory. And Dennis will be in here and hopefully we can use him to show you guys how, and Denny, to show you guys how to manipulate the inventory. Make cuts. One of the things we do on make cuts, I didn't mention, when you make the cut, you can roll out the balance of the roll, measure it, and update the balance automatically right there when you're making the cut. So you don't have to go to an inventory adjustments. We have scan gun applications that allow you to locate your inventory. When you pick it up off the cut table, you take it to the bin, scan the roll, you're done. It's relocated. If you don't want to locate it to the cut table, you don't have to do that. We have a lot of things that are going to make things easier. But it's still going to be there. It's still more inventory accountability than you do now.
Which is needed.
Yes, and so, my requirement, here's what is told to me for Dynamics. They say, Johnny, I need one thing. I need perpetual inventory, which means at any moment in time, I have to print the inventory and it has to match. So there's so many different perspectives and so many different things that, you know how much you touch inventory. You touch inventory all day long and twice on Sunday, right? So all of that touching and all of that manipulation has to be accounted for.
Which is why we've been pushing the cycle count so much.
Yeah, and we have cycle count. We have an app for cycle count that Maggie will go over with warehouse people. Now, Dennis, I don't know if you've given it your thumbs up now. I don't know if we've changed it enough to make you happy. But if not, we will.
Well, we have different issues at the DC because of our company, so, but we'll go through it again and make sure.
Yeah. It'll be easier for Turf Hub because
Yeah.
you're not trying to manage 3 companies in one building.
Yeah.
All right.
Can we eat when
Y'all
we do
can have
that?
snacks and do whatever you want to. I'm handing it over to Maggie and Jessica because they are the true experts on how to train. As you can tell, I get long-winded and just talk about a lot of things. I had to shut myself up like 10 times. Believe me, there was other things I wanted to say. Like this, because I do want to mention one other thing that is coming that I hope will be a great thing for Turf Hub. We don't know yet. We'll roll it out really slow. After you get used to Dynamics, one of the things we're going to put in is called Sauna. And Sauna is a dealer portal, which means we are giving customers the ability to order at home or on their phone. Okay? I see that for Turf Hub being valuable in the sense that their dealer can be on the job site or can be at home that night and they can order it. We can figure out on that order, we can notify them when you set the confirmed ship date on it, that hey, it's going to be there in 2 days, it'll be ready in 2 days and they can come pick it up. It will notify them that it'll be there in 2 days and that's when they can come back. So you don't have to call them. I see them being able to do that, and in the warehouse, because they're entering roll sizes in Sauna, that's one of the customizations we did, it'll go straight to schedule cuts. You'll know what cuts you gotta make when you walk in at 6 o'clock in the morning. because the order's already been entered and in Dynamics overnight. There'll be more processing, and more things we'll have to figure out procedurally, but that is going to be a really interesting thing. STI is going live mid-July.
Let them be the guinea pig.
They are the guinea, well, Tile's guinea pig. We're putting switch tracks in right now.
That's a little less,
Sometimes, Tile can get, Tile gets a little hairy because in game Tile, like for the courts, you have you have the Play-Doh, y'all see it tomorrow. But basically I see it like a Play-Doh mold, right? And they make 4 tile at one time. Just like y'all's MO number, there's even differences sometimes in those 4 square because the mold may not, they shave it out and laser it and cut it. And there are times that you can tell one tile in the cavity from the other. So they have to keep up not only with the batch of the resin and the colorant that they put in it, but they also have to keep up with cavity A, cavity B, cavity C, cavity D, and they can't put them together. So it gets confusing, I promise you. And we do production for tile. You'll see it where they enter tile production tomorrow. All right. I'll be 2 doors down if you need me,
Okay.
but I doubt you will.
Y'all can take like just a 5-minute break.
Yep.
If y'all want to eat, get food, go to the bathroom or anything.
Turkey brain.
extra cheese.
You're the man, thanks Dennis.
All right.
So, just in this 45 minutes, for the 3 POs today, we put in.
Me.
Hey, I forgot 3 rolls. Hey, I forgot 4 rolls.
You want it?
Yeah. Thank you.
Chris,
Yep,
you want roast beef?
yep.
Thank you.
We like you already better, Maggie. You let us take a break.
I'll be here a while. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, take the head of the table. What do you think was something separate?
Dalia Sanchez is blowing me up. I wasn't sure.
Don't tell me that.
Tell me we got Mexico. Bermuda Pro back.
Go.
Here's something else. They're always tagging SUW and Superior chirp but never chirp up.
Only when they need it.
That's everyone else.
Okay, you got that one.
That's great news. I just.
4 times than you had to wear them, didn't you?
Huh?
I was gonna say, that's usually more
than what I get.
Usually I eat while I'm working. Sometimes I don't even get to eat.
That's what I'm saying. It's not hot and you get to eat.
Cut rolls while packing a sandwich in my face.
Mm-hmm.
Take a bite, get back to the table.
Why do you think I make ramen sandwiches?
Take a bite, get back to the table.
Trust me, I know, I've been there.
Yeah, you gotta bring food that's not gonna go bad if it's sitting there for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna.
Jamie, do you want a sandwich?
Oh, no,
Okay.
I'm good, thank you.
Stand by. That's Jenny. Hurry, Mark, for inventory control.
So you got Dennis and Denny.
Oh,
Dennis and Denny?
Is that Mark in the?
And Mark.
Sitting back in that
Yeah,
one?
and Mark.
Oh, I never met him.
Oh, no.
13 times he's been in Waco.
Mm-hmm.
There he is.
There he is. There's Mark.
Marco, I never met you in person. Oh, my goodness.
Is there an option on there to scrap out 15 or 30 square foot when you're in the process of making that final cut on the roll?
Yeah.
So you don't have to go back in inventory and adjust it out later?
Correct.
Straight up.
Yeah, that's what, Nav had. You could have the option to just scrap it out, like the remainder of it.
Oh, you're fine, you're fine.
And it was so convenient.
Oh, yeah, we can't. But the DC with the volume, like we have to do that.
Yeah, cause right now you gotta enter each line in individually.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, you can do it on a mass list, but you gotta put each number in.
No, when you make the cut, you can set it to automatically, if it's under a certain amount, scrap it automatically.
Oh, okay.
Mark, did you want that one? No, we had one.
How long have you all been here?
We landed last night at 6.
Oh, okay.
Kinda in, woke up, went and saw some of our,
The steam
brokers.
You guys all use steam quite a bit.
Right on to work.
Downtown Chattanooga, Indigo, what's that Indigo? It's on 6th Street and 24.
¿La Valentina?
You got into our hotel about 8.
Not take any of y'all's trash.
So then we
Josh, you almost
found
ready?
the pickle barrel.
Yeah.
Downtown Chattanooga. It's open late, 3rd Street till 11 or something. Sat up there and watched downtown Chattanooga.
Was the wind blowing? Wasn't too bad?
Not really. Not like it was back home.
Yeah, I know.
It's a little bumpy flight coming in. Not really spectacular, but.
We made it here in record time this morning.
Oh, you guys give me grief about my drive?
No, that part wasn't bad, but if
Maybe
the
that-
camera's in the front, I would go. I
Maybe
would
that
do
last turn.
The last turn.
The last turn.
Yeah.
That was happy.
Anybody got a playback on that?
Yeah. Anybody seen a minivan do 70 through a turn
Yeah.
I told you buckle up.
and actually stay?
My kids were in the minivan.
David's putting a camera in his truck.
I'm gonna have to, they're gonna make me take a portable with me for my rentals.
See what happens.
I promise.
Maggie, how'd you get your shoes to match your shirt, like, perfect? Not a dial out, or let's call it a batch number, no batch number differences whatsoever.
What's up, y'all?
Chad,
Hi.
hey buddy, I'm just texting you
How's
back.
Did you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hey.
the microphone's right there.
You never called me back or responded to my emails. What's up, dude?
The email's still unread because I read it and then I made sure I wasn't gonna forget. And guess what I did?
Hey,
And I never called you back. I'm terrible.
I know.
no, you're not.
It's
No
not
matter
you,
what.
Dennis. It's me. I promise.
All I know is you. If you want more training, you better start calling me back.
I'll respond to the email right now.
Power of
I
persuasion.
finally got caught up.
Yay, proud of you.
Yeah.
It literally
Mm-hmm. Isn't that cool?
is scary.
Hey, did you put our help desk?
No, I didn't, but I can add that.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I can go ahead and like just go through these like quick things, like important information. So this is like more of a hands-on training, so we're gonna like walk through together about like creating customers, creating sales orders, making cuts, all that fun stuff. But before we do any of that though, we do have like important information for y'all to know. If y'all haven't already, go ahead and like open up the Dynamics, we call it UAT, but it's our test environment. If y'all already aren't in there. And I've listed here just some like resourceful and like helpful links on here. So we do have like a YouTube channel that we upload a bunch of like how-to videos if y'all just ever want to watch. If y'all forget something and just like want to go on our YouTube channel, and we have a bunch of how-tos. And like this meeting I'll put on our YouTube channel as well. And I'll also share with y'all these like help files that we have on here. It's everything that's mentioned in this folder here. But I can give y'all access to that right after this meeting. And obviously we have a new like Microsoft Teams channel. So if y'all don't know what that is, like in your little Teams, you should have probably got like a message about it. But it's like this little button over here. And there's like a channel here where you can like post a question. If like we go live and you're just like dead in the water, like, hey, how do I add this? And then everybody can just be like, oh, here's how you do it. Things like that. And then also, obviously our help desk, I think y'all know what that is. And for emergencies, we have our help desk hotline. And also our inventory team is on our help desk, in case y'all didn't know that. So if you just add inventory control into the subject line, that it will go straight into their email inbox. If it's inventory related, obviously. And so obviously this is just like people to contact me and my email address, Bruce, which is our main like help desk guy, Alex, who's also in IT, and then Jessica, who's sitting here with us today. And then I'll add Dennis and Denny and Mark as well. Those are gonna be your inventory contacts. So this is just kind of like frontline defense. Obviously, like there's more people in the company that we can give you access to and like email addresses to. But just in like, if you don't want to bombard Johnny with all this stuff, you can just reach out to people here.
Well, what we all prefer, I think, is like for the first couple of months, like we expect you to email us, some of us like individually, but as we get past that learning for, first couple of months thing, it's better to send it to the help desk because if one of us is out, other people are looking at it.
Yeah.
So like if you send it to Maggie, but she's on vacation, nobody else will look at it until she gets back or sends it to them. But if you do the help desk, we all get it and you can get help faster.
Right.
For the first few weeks, we'll help you however we can.
Yeah.
But if you don't get a response, or you get them out of office, then go to the help desk and other people will.
Yeah. And I don't know if y'all knew this, but like you can actually just email the help desk, or you can go onto our website. It's helpdesk.recreationalgroup.com, and you can put in tickets both ways. Okay, so does everybody have our UAT test environment open? You logged in? All that good stuff.
Get your authenticators ready.
Got it.
So our test environment is gonna be very, very slow. So be very patient with me. This is like not how it's gonna be in our production like live environment. We just did a refresh, so everything's gonna be a little bit slower here. So some of the like just basic things that I wanna know here in Dynamics is that obviously up here, this will have your initials. Mine says RD because that's RG Dynamics. But if you ever want to sign out, there's the little sign out button. And right next to it, here's like a little settings button. And if you go into the settings and click on user options, you can actually change the color of your Dynamics.
So what I recommend is make the color of your regular Dynamics different than the color of your UAT Dynamics.
That's a good idea.
So if you make the red like your UAT, so if you accidentally, you've been training on one, but now you're working in the other one, I've done this. I'll start trying to find something in UAT by accident. I'm like, where did it go? I know it's here. I'm in the wrong site. So they all look the same.
Yeah. Our production environment looks exactly the same as our UAT environment. So yeah, sometimes somebody will reach out to me and be like, oh, add this person into Dynamics. Add them in our test environment. And I'm like, well, crap, I meant to add them in our production environment. So that's actually a really good idea what Dennis just said, if you didn't hear, to like change different colors. So like making your UAT environment blue and then your production environment pink. And you can also like change the size if you want it like really tiny. I can't do that because I can barely see anyways. And then in our preferences, one thing to note here is like it says default view/edit mode. I like to change that to edit. This just means that any form that you open will just automatically default it to like edit mode. Because sometimes when you open up forms, it'll have a little button and it acts like you can't do anything and you have to go and press the edit button. But if you just default it to edit, it'll just already be there. And in very rare instances, sometimes like Microsoft will push in updates that we can't control and there'll be bugs, things that happen. And they'll reach out to us and we'll tell you, reset your usage data. And that's up here in this little button that says usage data. Mine looks a little bit different because I'm a system administrator. So it means I can reset it for everybody. But basically what this is doing is just like clearing your cache. Like you know when you're in your browser, when you just clear cache, your cookies, same thing. And usually resetting that will just fix it. And that's just this little reset button down here. Okay. And also on this like initial home page, you can see that mine looks a little bit different. That's because I customized it a little bit. So right here, I actually have the TurfHub web store. So when I click on this, it just automatically opens up turfhub.com. And so you can do that with any website that you don't have to authenticate into. So like if you wanted to add like your ADP on here, it would be like, no, you can't do that because that's something you have to log into. But like any web store like that, like I have like Arsana, which I know that Johnny talked about that, but it's actually not live. But anything like that, like websites that you frequent, maybe even like USPS, FedEx, you don't have to log in, things like that. And how you add those, so you find any white space, if y'all want to do this with me, find any white space that's like next to a button, and then you right click. And then go down to personalize, and then it should look like this. And so you can add a page. And so here are the things that you can add. Workspaces, these we don't really use. They're not as, in my opinion, they're not as good as Microsoft made them to be. Power Apps, we kind of talked about that a little bit, where apps like we have to relocate, we have one for receiving purchase orders, a warehouse management app, things like that you can add onto here. Or you can add just a website. And so you click website and then name it whatever you want to.
We don't have that option.
Yeah,
Okay.
got us blocked.
Okay. It doesn't say anything at all?
No website.
Okay.
It just says workplace.
Workspace and Power
And
Apps.
then
We're missing the
Power
button.
Apps.
Okay, so that's probably a permission issue that I'll have to look into later. Anyways, just letting y'all know, it is an option.
It's there for some people.
And for any of these, you should be able to just, sorry, if you like right click on it and then say personalize, you should be able to just hide it. So if you don't want to see it anymore, just go in there and hide it because you don't really care about it. Right click, personalize, hide. I mean, you can rename it if you wanted to. I don't really know why you would, but you can change the size of it if you just wanted to make it huge.
Obviously, you can show again, but if you hide it and hide the wrong thing or realize you need to access it later.
Yeah, if you need to add it back, then that's where you just add it back here. If that makes sense. Have I already lost you?
No.
Okay. Okay.
That would be creating new, but.
Okay, and also this left-hand button up here where it says Finance and Operations, that's just like a home button. So on any page that you're on, if you just want to go back to the home page, which is this page, just click on that button. And if you ever, like maybe whenever we go live with purchase screen and you have to flip through, this is what we call legal entities. If you ever need to like flip over to purchase screen, you like click on the little TH up here, go to the drop down, and then you would click on PG.
Now, if we switch to a different entity, are we able to see everything they have?
Yes. So like if we go into X-Grass, obviously our home pages look the same. But if we go into sales order, we would see X-Grass sales orders.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
But that, everybody's gonna have access to it.
No, yeah, so if y'all press down on it, you probably don't see everything. But in the future, probably when we go live with purchase screen, I would imagine that some of you at least would have access to those things. Do you have a question?
No.
Okay. Okay, so I don't know what y'all call these little 3 lines up here. I call this a hamburger menu. I don't know if that's the right term for it,
Sounds good.
but that's what I'm gonna call it for now. So up here in our left-hand corner up here, if you click on the hamburger menu, we see home, favorites, recents, workspaces, modules. And I always go to modules. Some people, they will just stay in their favorites. I'm going to show you how we favorite things. So for example, all of these modules are in alphabetical order. So if you think about like, okay, a sales order, that's going to be accounts receivable. Purchase orders, accounts payable. Looking at inventory management down here. It's going to be, this was the hardest thing for me, and you can see so much stuff on my screen because I'm a system administrator. So y'all probably don't see as much modules and forms as we call them, but the hardest part about Dynamics to me is just finding out where things are. And if you know, so if we go up here to accounts receivable, you can see here that it says all sales orders. If you cannot ever remember to go to the hamburger menu, accounts receivable, find all sales orders, you can click up in this button that's like a search button, and you can just type up all sales orders. It'll take just a minute, but it'll show up. There we go. And that first one. So I have to do this a lot because I can't ever remember like where things are. But if you just want to favorite them, you can go over to the right-hand corner and just favorite it. So that every time that you open up that hamburger menu, you can go into your favorites and then find all sales orders. What are you laughing at?
Hamburger menu.
Oh. I don't know of another word for it, to be real honest.
But you do have to favorite it before you open it, because there's no way to favorite it after you open it, right?
Yeah. That is correct.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. You have to go into it.
Yeah. I clicked on modules. I'm getting the drop down, but it's not updating over my main screen.
Just hover over like accounts payable. Click it.
I'm just getting drop down menus. I'm not getting.
Expand all.
Yeah.
Oh, expand all. Wow, okay. Modules.
Maggie, just to verify too, if you find something in the the search up there, and you come out favorite from that one, right? You do have those.
You do have to, yeah.
I live out of my favorites. I don't ever, like, I favorite everything that I need, and that's where I find it. I try not to go into the.
Yeah, and you can see that
Marvel,
I don't really
because there's so
favorite
much stuff
things. So for some reason, I'm just a
there.
crazy
My
person. I just go up here
Did you get me?
and I just find it.
Customers, production orders, purchase orders,
Which one else?
everything that I need.
But you can see too that like it will tell you the path to go to. Where it says all sales orders, it'll
Yeah,
say
and
accounts
it'll-
receivable,
anything you need.
orders,
there's
and
something
that's where it finds it.
Gotcha.
And any of these forms, if you look up at this top up here, it tells you exactly the path to go to find it.
And those I call the breadcrumbs.
Breadcrumbs? Okay, that's a good word.
That take me back to work.
Yeah.
They started.
So if anybody didn't hear that, up here on like kind of the left-hand corner, it tells you exactly how to get to these forms. So we got that, we're good? We know how to favorite? Okay. All right, so I guess the next thing that we're gonna go to is creating views. And so you can see any Microsoft view that they put out there is automatically gonna be your default, and they call it standard view. But if I'm working and I wanna see something else, I can hover over this, any of these fields, it doesn't have to be just this one. Anything you see down here, and you can right-click, insert a column. And so you can create your own view, and you can see whatever you want to. So one thing that you probably want to add onto your view would be a customer reference. And this is another thing to note. So, hang on, sorry, I totally skipped over that. So in order to filter, I just clicked on this, and all of these say contains, is exactly, all of this stuff. I usually just keep it on contains, but you really have to pay attention to that when you're filtering, because sometimes you'll be typing in here customer, but it says is not. And then you're like, well, why can I find this? But your filter needs to be contains. So I'm gonna put in something called customer reference, and then I'm just gonna check it and then say update. And so what this does is it throws it all the way over here. And so I can drag these columns and I can put it wherever I want to.
And I'm assuming customer reference is the PO number.
So you can use this field however you really want to. I think that CP typically uses something called a customer requisition.
We use customer reference for, like, if it's shipping truck line, we'll put it there. We put it in the mode of delivery, also like the carrier, if you put a quote number, but you have to be careful because the customer reference does print on the bill of lading. So if you don't want the customer seeing the quote number, you wouldn't want to put it there.
So it does show up, it shows up on the confirmation, the bill of lading, and I think the invoice too.
I think it shows up on the invoice also.
When I imported these sales orders as of Monday, I put the QuickBooks number in the customer reference. And I only did this so that y'all can, if you know, like, okay, this QuickBooks number is
That's
whatever.
the sales order number is what you populated?
Yes, the QuickBooks sales order number. So you can add this onto your add this onto your view, and then filter if you're just trying to look for it. If you know that it was in QuickBooks and you're trying to go find this order, then use this customer reference field to find it. Another thing to note here is that you can hide any of these columns. So you can say hide this column. You can add any column. But if I were to close out here right now and get back in it, this customer reference field would be gone.
Is there a way to make a default, like a standard view for each position? Like
Yes.
customer service has it this way, warehouse managers have it this way.
Yes. So, okay, in order to save these views, you would click up here on the standard view and then save as. So right now, only system admins have access to like share this with people in a different role. But that's something that we can do, is just set up like a TurfHub CSR
To
view.
have defaults just so it's standard, so we can adjust it from there.
Right. And one thing that you do want to do here, if you continuously want to see this every time you open up this form, you're gonna have to pin it as your default view. Otherwise, it's gonna be there, but you have to keep going to it. Mhm. And you can name it whatever you want to. If it's like Landon's
Right.
orders, then you can just save it as that. And so now we can see that it's there, it has this little pin, that means that it's my default view.
What do most people do, Jessica? Do they just have their own specific view, or like all your customer service ladies have the same?
All the customer service ladies have the same view. It's a view that I created that they use to, just so that we're all working off the same.
Just to keep it.
Yeah.
Now, the shipping department's view will be completely different from ours. There's criteria that they look at to ship orders. You can make that view for your warehouse people to look at. It's completely customizable to what you guys need it to be.
I love
Right.
the customization. I'm just afraid some people will be like, oh, we don't need this. And then they really do need it.
Yep.
And then some people will be like, oh yeah, we do need this, and they don't need that. So just kind of the
Mhm.
default for each position.
Yeah, and that's something.
That's a really good idea.
And of course, any of these columns here, you can just click on it, say contains, and filter it by anything that you want. Any of these columns. If you want to look at like who's the sales taker, you just type it in and then apply.
Begins with.
So that's how you would sort through your locations? For
Yeah,
your business unit name?
you can do business unit name, you can do site, you can do warehouse.
Just so you don't see all of the Turf Hub locations and just the one you're at?
Mhm.
Okay.
And you can save that filter inside that view, and every single time you open it, it will only be that
Yes.
business unit, that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so every time you wouldn't have to filter it every time you open it.
Okay.
And that is also in here. It's one of the first, it literally takes you step by step on like how to set up those columns, how to save it, all those things is in the book that I gave you guys.
Okay. So, I guess now that we're done with that, we're gonna go through and create a customer. So you can either like step through this with me, or you can just watch me do it. At the end, we'll probably have you all like create your own customer, create your own sales order, just so that you do it yourself and you know it. But it's up to y'all whether you just wanna watch me or do it yourself. Okay, so in our hamburger menu, find accounts receivable, and then go to all customers. And any of these pages, you might open it and it might look like this. And in that instance, just click on expand all. Or you can just click on, if you know where it is, under customers.
So accounts receivable, customers.
Okay. So once we're here, we go up to the left-hand corner and we say new. Okay, so here in the red, where it has red stars, we can see this is a required field. So if we were to just try to save right now, it would give us an error being like, you can't do that. You need to put in these fields. So here is where you'd say it's either a person or it's an organization, company, and then you just type in their name. I'm gonna put in my name.
So is that customer account number just automatically?
It's automatically generated.
So we can't, it's not,
Specific.
it's just a unique chronological number.
It is, yeah.
So
Okay,
there's no rhyme or reason unless you know you can't search by account number unless you know what their account number is.
if you know their name, you could also search for
Yeah, search
name.
by name, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then for customer group, this is where I think y'all also use those in QuickBooks if they're just like residential, dealer, things of that nature.
Would this kind of be like our price levels here?
No,
One,
so
two,
price
three,
levels are
okay,
different.
Different.
Yes, we will get to that. So I'm just gonna put dealer here.
Is the purpose of that is just for identification later? Like if you want to pull dealer sales, so that
Yeah.
can be added in there.
Yeah,
Surely we can edit these
Yeah,
customer groups, 'cause I
so
mean,
anything on here, you can edit. This is just gonna be a default. So if you go to create a sales order, all this stuff I'm putting on here is just gonna default. And so, for example, I uploaded all these customers. So maybe I might have uploaded Dallas customers before I uploaded Chandler. But they're a customer both, right? So I put them as a Dallas customer. But you may know that like, well, Chandler, we're using this customer all the time. And it's really annoying to have to keep on changing all their information to the Chandler stuff. So you can come into their customer account and change all the default stuff. It's not set in stone. But it's just to make it easier whenever you're going to create the sales order. Okay. And,
I guess my question maybe was like,
okay,
but we're stuck with these defaults.
You can add,
Agreed.
if they're not like a dealer,
Well,
Oh.
we don't use any of this terminology. I
guys
mean, we use contractor, we have yeah,
homeowner.
homeowner, contractor, distributor.
If
You know,
you, if
those are
you,
kind of
click up at the top, like where it said, right there beside description, where those three little dots are, down in the little drop down menu, where those three little dots
Okay.
are.
does he have access to that?
Oh,
Like the view
Probably
details?
not. I mean,
Yeah, so we can add to any of these, that you want.
you know,
you don't have access to do it, but you can,
Yeah,
you can
Yeah.
use
just
those dots and
realistically
you can
use
name it.
homeowner.
I think there was
Church
one that said like DIY that we added in our last one. If you call a DIY just like a
Homeowner.
homeowner, so we added that last time.
Yeah, homeowner or.
Yeah, I mean,
On the PG side, we just say the homeowner or.
we have these, and we have,
Homeowner contract.
you know,
Yeah, so we can add to any of these.
I think Maggie, I think it'd be good just to have the ones that they use loaded in
Yeah.
before we go into.
Yeah,
set
and we
up.
can definitely do
Just
that.
get a list from Brad, what they call their separate customers, and then we can already
I
have it
think
set up.
just two homeowner
It'll be easy
contractor.
for
That's
everyone.
no, distributor. Yeah, distributor. I mean, we.
Maggie, and can we get that standardized also? Like, I don't know, like if a homeowner is called DIY for purchase green, can we have it on the same like homeowner/DIY so that whenever we do, I don't know, segmentation by customer, and we want to look at the sales, we look at the same segment? Instead of having, homeowner for hub and DIY for purchase green.
Yes, we can do that. I'll just have to make a note.
That's our customer type, landscaper, commercial contractor, company,
can
non-turf. Yeah.
Okay,
And then it'll pull up for everybody, or is it just me?
It'll pull it for everyone when you add it there. Right?
yes, it will.
Yeah.
So we can see here that we also have views on the screen too. So if you know that you always need to add an employee responsible, you can say personalized, okay, sorry. I just right clicked where it says employee responsible and say personalize, and you can make this required because you know that you're gonna forget every time you go to create a customer. And then you can go up here, save the view, pin it as your default, and now all the time, whenever you go to create a customer, it's gonna show up for you that this needs to be entered in. So that's a good thing to note. If you just like keep forgetting to add things, you can always make fields required for you, or you can hide them if you know like, I'm never gonna use source code. Just hide it.
employee responsible is the sales rep type of deal.
Yes, so employee responsible, that's the same thing as a sales responsible. And again, this is just a default, so you can assign it to anybody in our organization that you want to.
Do y'all have like a house account?
We do have a house account, and we can just go ahead and assign it. Oh, well, I would have to add it to this, but just add you. No, I'm gonna add you. They just have to be a worker in that company. Okay, and here's where you can add mode of delivery. If y'all see a mode of delivery that's not on here, that y'all know that y'all use all the time, we can easily add it. Takes 2 seconds.
Any kind of will call?
We have something called CPU, which we call customer pickup.
Most of them will be CPUs.
And delivery, right?
Yeah, delivery.
Local deliveries not on
Local
here.
delivery, AP, DV.
I mean, I don't know if we're gonna assign them there, but yeah, that's but it would probably be in business unit.
Okay, so we can see here that we added something called a price group. And we have actually loaded all of your price levels into here. So here's where you would just select which price group they belong to. Okay. So down here is where we fill in their address. And something important to note here, you always have to put in the zip code before you go typing in the city, the state, or the street. Because if I were just to go type in my address right here, then I go try to put in a zip code, look, all that just went away that I put in the street.
Zip code first.
So always put the zip code first before you put anything in the street field.
You'll learn that soon.
You will learn it after you've done it about a couple times, and then you get really mad. So right here, I'm gonna go ahead and stop. So there'll be some instances, it's very rare, that you will go to put in a zip code here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it's telling you there's no zip code here. So this means that we don't have it in our address book. From this point, I don't know if CP does this, but this is kind of how I was taught, was that you go onto a website called USPS address lookup. And this is something that y'all can go ahead and type in right here. It's called tools.usps.com. And make sure that you bookmark it. If y'all know how to do that, y'all know how to do that. Okay, it's where you just press this little star, so you always have it. And here's where you go and find an address. And this is important because if we can't verify the address with USPS, then we don't need to add it into our system, because then we can't verify the address and add the taxes that we need to. And this will only look up US addresses, right? So if you go put in a Canada address in here, it won't find it. That will be
Just straight US.
Yes, that will be a different way to verify, I guess. Okay, but I do want to talk about how we can add this. So if you have typed in this zip code, it's telling you zip code is not found for USA, then, and you've already verified it in USPS, then we need to open up a form in Dynamics called address setup. And I don't even know where this form is. Okay. Organization administration, global address book, addresses, address setup. So you should already have access to this. If you don't, I can get you access very quickly. And so here is where we're going to add that zip code. And this is true for any city. I mean, all the states will be in there. But if it's ever like a Canada, you know, they have weird provinces and stuff. Same thing. So in this instance, we're going to add a zip code. But this is true for city, county, anything. So if we were adding a Canada address, we would go up here, find Canada. I already know that it begins with can. And then you see how nothing changed here. You have to press apply filter. But in this instance, I'm just gonna add USA. Apply filter. Okay. So now is here where we say new. And then you can see here, it's in the red, and we just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then save it. And now, when we go to try to add that zip code, there it is. Oh, 1, 2, 3. What? There we go. There it is. So if you want to add more information onto the screen, you can. So if you know that this zip code is in Arizona, you just put in AZ. There it is. Now, I wouldn't really put in this county, city, district, street, all that stuff, because once you go to add it onto, like in this instance, it will add all that information. So you know how like different zip codes have different cities in them? So like it might say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is for city Phoenix, but you're trying to add it for somewhere that's also close to there. Then you would have to go back, either erase the city out of here or add that same zip code for a different city, if that makes sense. Are we following?
One thing, so you'll see this a lot, especially when you're new. Like when she went, you'll do multiple tabs. So when she went to one tab and made an adjustment, she went back to the next tab and it hadn't affected that tab yet. If you refresh with the little circle thing up there on the right, then you'll see that update. But sometimes when you're really going fast, like what you did, and I've done that a lot, so it's kind of frustrating. Oh, did I do it wrong? But it just has to get to the cloud and back down to your other screen.
Yeah, so that's a good thing to mention, is that you don't always have to do this, we call it a big refresh, which is like where you refresh your entire browser. That sometimes you can just go up here and do this like little bitty refresh and everything's all good and good.
So Dynamics is web-based, not
Yes.
application-based.
Yes. Okay. So back to our zip code. And also another thing here is that we can see we got this little banner up here. And this is just a warning. When it's yellow like this and this has the little triangle, it's just a warning, which means you can proceed, but it's not going to really stop you from doing anything. Now, if this was like a red error, we would not be able to click anywhere in the system. That's like, you can't. But definitely like pay attention whenever those warning messages come up, because I think that like, once you're in the system long enough, you just kind of stop paying attention. You're like, it's okay. But you do have to exit out of them for them to just completely go away. I'm just going to add my real address on here. Just for testing purposes, because I want to show y'all something called this address validation. So this is just a little button that we press. And this is very important for accounting to like you guys. Because this is what will add sales tax onto a sales order. And I mean, this also just confirms that like we can actually ship this to this is an actual address. So I guess somebody already saved this customer, or the customer that they created, which is fine. I'm just gonna go into an already created customer. Okay. So, sorry, I don't think I explained that. So we can click onto these accounts and open up their customer record. So on here is a lot of information. And all of these, like headers down here, we can collapse them and expand them. So sometimes when I'm working, it looks like this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, where is their credit information? Oh my god, I can't find it. But you just need to open it up, and there you see it. And same for all of this stuff, it has a view. So if you, right when you opened it like this, you wanted to see something, you can personalize, add a field, and then add whatever field onto here that you want. And we are adding more stuff onto this for you guys in the coming days, just to let y'all know. So here we can see this customer's address, and here's where their contact information is. Here's where you can put Maggie's phone, main phone, you can put their work phone, and you can see there's a little like primary button. This means that this is like their main point of contact. And something that's important here, so whenever we do, I think you've heard of like the batch invoicing, batch bill of ladings, things like that. So how we determine which customers or which like email addresses to send these invoices and these bill of ladings to is by whatever record is in this email address field. So definitely make a note on this. Mental and physical. So whenever we go to add a contact here, I'm just gonna say Maggie's invoicing email. We can add websites, we can add URLs, LinkedIn, Twitter, anything you want here. For this purposes though, when we're talking about batch invoicing and batch bill of lading, we're just gonna add my email address here. And I'm gonna go up to this advanced button. Okay, and so here we can see that there's a purpose. So it automatically, whenever you add any contact in here, it just automatically adds it as business purpose. So any email address that you put in here, like as of today, they'll all have this business purpose. So if we were to go like, ship something, invoice it, it's not gonna send to any customers because you need either this invoice purpose or the lading purpose added onto their email address. Otherwise, when it emails out at night, it's only gonna send it to you. It's only gonna send it to our group that we have called Turfo BOLs. And it's not gonna go to the customer. So if you do want it to go to the customer, click on this advanced.
Since y'all included all these, are they all standard on business?
They are, and we can change that though. We can change any of those that we want to though. So for this purposes, I'm gonna add invoice and add lading. All of these other stuff, I really don't even know what these do.
Out of
And
the
if
box.
you
Okay.
have customers that, like, there's two different people that only want to receive BOLs, you can set that address as just receiving BOLs. If you want them to receive invoices, they can just receive invoices. You just have to add them and then assign it that specific purpose.
And FYI, we were asked the other day about, you guys have contacts on a lot of your QuickBooks orders. This would be a way to have a contact because they will get emailed anything that's shipped and anything that invoiced automatically without having to put it as a contact on the order form. And we can put it on the order form, but just FYI, that is one way to manage that.
And you can also just put a little comma here and then add multiple people in here that you want. It doesn't just have to be one person. So if this is like an accounts payable, 2 accounts payable people, and you know that that's who you want to go to, then just put a little comma and it will either invoice or email the packets up to them.
So I can use this.
So, as you can tell, there's a lot of stuff in here that we don't really use. You can go through all this information, and if it sounds like something that's very useful to you, then feel free. But things that we really care about would be like these sales order defaults. So we can see that this automatically defaulted. Well, this is one that I just opened up, but this is where every time you go to create a sales order, this would automatically show up in the site field as a Dallas sales order, no matter what. You can change that obviously in the sales order, but if you know that like Dallas is never gonna use this customer anymore, they're a Fort Worth customer now. Here's where you would change that. And then you can also put in their default warehouse as well. And these warehouses filter by the site that you just selected. So you can see here that only the Fort Worth warehouse is available for me to select. Okay. So we can see that price level is still on there. This is like something else. I don't think that y'all really use this. We use this for like our tile companies. But this is like the price field that y'all will use. So scrolling down, here's all of their like payment defaults. So if you know that they're always going to be paying with cash, paying with credit card, you can go ahead and select that here. Financial dimensions.
Save their credit card information in here?
You can. Yes. And
Does it link to PayFabric?
It does.
Automatically? Gotcha.
Yes.
And what?
Yeah, we can walk through that whenever we go to like create a sales order and stuff.
Okay.
So obviously financial dimensions, I think we talked about a little bit before that. This is everything that's being driven on the ledger accounts. And you can see here that we have a bunch of different financial dimensions. And I think that if this were blank, I think it would be yelling at us. Yeah. So this is an example of like a red error that's telling us like you cannot move forward, you cannot save this record. And you can actually press this little like drop down here. And we can see it told us 3 times, but sometimes it'll tell you like more things under that as well. And so this is a good thing to know whenever you get an error in Dynamics. Be sure to always screenshot all of these errors, send it to the help desk, and then just let us know. Sometimes when it looks like this, we're like, we can't really tell what the error is unless you do the full drop down. So there's a lot more things in here. Honestly, I don't think that we use really anything else in here. But if y'all want to go play in here and have at it. The only other thing I guess that I would say is that on most of these forms, they have these little attachments up here. And so we can see here that it says 0. That means there's no attachments on here, on this customer record. But you can click into these attachments, and here's where you can add a note. You can add any of their like customer information that you have. I don't know why I just did that. So here's where you'd say new. You can add a file. You can add a little picture of them if you want. You can add a note, a URL, anything that you want. I think that y'all create like a lot of notes for customers.
Yeah, especially like special
Specific
pricing,
pricing.
or names for certain products.
Yeah. So here's where you can just add like little notes. And once this leaves, this will be something that will come in handy whenever we go live with Sauna, because the customer will actually be able to view their notes. You can like set it to visible. It's called visible in Web Shop.
Mm-hmm.
So if you add little notes like these to your customers, they'll actually be able to see it in our Sauna store. And so you can just name it Maggie's Note.
So don't write anything bad about the customer.
Well, you do have to like check, you have to check a field to say like make this visible or not. But here's where you would just say like turf all play is $1.89 for this customer.
It's pretty good.
Perfect.
Yeah, right now.
And then you just press the save button, and there it is. And if I go back out of here, now we can see this little,
Paperclip.
This little paper clip up here says 1. So now every time you go into this customer record, you can go and view the notes.
You can also do that for specific sales orders, if you want to just add attachment to like a certain sales order.
You can add attachments onto packing slips, onto
Roll the short foot
invoices.
way. Boom.
Mhm.
Or if you get attached an image, I don't know, just thinking ahead for,
Yeah, you can attach documents like PDFs, PNGs, all that stuff. You can attach all of those.
this is on the
Like what you wanna
customer
do?
card.
Yes, this is on the customer report, but you can do that for vendors,
Click that and then
sales orders, anything.
click.
Okay. So there's, as you can imagine, there's a million trillion different ways to add a sales order, or to create a sales order, I will say. And obviously, y'all are smart, you know this. You cannot create a sales order for that customer if the customer is not in Dynamics. Right? Okay, so if you go to create a sales order and you see, hey, this customer's never been here before, you have to go create their customer account. Fill in all this information, then go create the sales order. Okay. So there's many different ways to create a sales order here. You can either go to your hamburger menu, go into all sales orders, and then say new, or you can go up to these tabs, press sell, and then just say new, and then sales order.
Wait, can you go back on that, please?
Yes. So there's many different ways to create a sales order, and different people do it different ways. So you can either go out here onto your hamburger menu, under accounts receivable, find all sales orders, and then you can click in there and then create a new sales order that way.
But
But you favorited yours, like how you started
Yeah.
it, you wouldn't have to go on to, you could just click on the start and.
So on their customer record though, if you're just already here, on this little cell tab up here, you can just say new sales order. So I'm gonna press this button.
She was inside the customer's account.
Are we still
You're on
following?
the all sales order, you're on the all sales. Inside the customer's account.
And we can do it both ways. I can show you. This is kind of gonna look exactly how we just set up a customer, where we go say new, and then it's gonna pull out a little window screen. And then here's where you find the customer. So where it says customer account, you don't have to know the customer account off the top of your name. Off the top of your head. So if you already know that the name of this customer is 6 Star Landscaping, you just type in 6 Star, and it's already smart enough to know that this contains 6 Star, and then there they are. And then that's when you just click on their customer account, and all that stuff we just defaulted, here's where we see it. So at this point is when you would verify their address, or you could change it here if you wanted to. If you just wanted to add a different address, you know that that's not where you're shipping it to. You can just press this little plus button.
Just like the way it has to.
This is gonna be so slow. Okay, and then here's where you would add a new address.
And we've talked about this in the last time, but like that one time, like that one right there where it says one time, if you know that this is the only time you're gonna deliver to this location, then you could check that and it won't save the addresses.
It will not save it onto the customer record.
Yeah.
So if you go to try to find that address again, it will not do that.
You'd have to put it back in. But if they say, you know, if it's somebody that's just like, I only this time want to deliver over here, you might not want to.
Yeah, you might
keep
not
adding
want
on
to
them.
save it, right? So here's where we would validate our address. So you press this little address validation button, and it'll come up with a little slide out that's telling you this address is not valid or it is valid. But I don't think that we have it set up right now in our test environment.
You know, most of these sales orders they're creating for the calls, customer pickups, like you guys use it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you even need to put that when you do a purpose customer pickup? And then you have to add the delivery address.
I mean, I guess not.
Place an order.
Right.
Well, I think you would have to, it would default to the customer's home address or business
It
address,
would, yeah.
because that has to be in there for payment, I guess, but.
Yeah, I mean, it would show up on the bill of lading though. Would that be fine?
I mean, because most of the people, I mean, unless we're shipping to a place, I mean, we don't even send a bill of lading. Like these normal
Okay.
contractors that come every day, they just get their invoice and that's it.
Okay,
Because they just will call customer pickup as your guys' terminology.
yeah.
Can you do an address without an address, just like have CPU but no address on it? Will it save that?
It will
Keep
save it,
the
yeah.
auto default that your.
So you could do
customers
customer pickup?
It just won't calculate in taxes though,
Ah,
which is, I think the county would get really mad at us if I were to tell you not to do that.
We don't want
But
that.
customer
Yeah,
pickup,
you have to have an address. It won't let you,
But that's our warehouse. You
Right.
put the default address is our warehouse. In a customer pickup, right?
So taxes would be based on.
Taxes.
Yeah, so that's where, right here on this new address, you would just put wherever the address of the warehouse is.
But that's what you want, the taxes, where the location of the warehouse. So you want, the customer pickup's gotta be the address, the location of the warehouse.
that makes
Okay,
sense.
and then here on the street, after you validate the address, you can put in here whatever you want to. Once it's validated, it's all good, then you can, here's where you can say, picking up 529, wherever you wanna say. You don't have to, I'm just saying. Here's where we have our customer requisition and customer reference fields. So as I mentioned before, our customer reference, for now, or how you're gonna see it show up in UAT, our test environment, is where all the QuickBooks sales order numbers are. But as Jessica said before, you can add in truck line, you can put in whatever, obviously it's gonna show up on these confirmation and invoicing bill of ladings. So just keep that in mind. So you can see here, this says CPU, whatever y'all want to do.
Well, but so is that where you could put CPU 26, if you give them the card number 26, because when they come around?
And I mean, unfortunately, I'd love Dallas to get on that because we have a problem of white truck, black trailer. Because that's the contractor's cheapest pickup and there's 6 white trucks with black trailers out there. You
So
know,
is it only Chandler?
it's only Chandler that
That does
does
the
the
card?
number cards. Maybe does Deer Valley now?
Deer Valley does it now
Deer
too.
Well, you could do it. So for Chandler, then customer reference is where you could put like CPU number 26, and you give them a number 26 card. And it would show up on all the on the sales order, we could make it show up on the pick list.
Yeah.
So that the warehouse would know that number 26 is what they're looking for.
And on the side mark, if you wanted it on the label,
Mm-hmm.
because a customer reference probably doesn't show up on the label, does it? Full label.
No, but if you're doing it on a roll label, when they make a cut, there would be another step for them to have to go into it, I think. It's not
So
by
will that
default,
be
you
an
can do it on a cut.
assigned number to them?
Hmm?
Will that be an assigned number to
No,
them?
no, like when you give them the card, like when you're making the sales order, if you're giving them your number 26, you could put it right there when you do the sales order.
Oh, when it's right there.
Yeah.
And, yeah, right.
Instead of
on the
writing it on there with
yeah.
your highlighter 26 and giving them our paper.
But what if we come back to, earlier where when they already call it, it's paid for,
Then you don't put it in.
you just pretty
Then you
much,
don't put it in.
No, you only put it in if you're standing there and you give them a card.
yeah.
Okay, so scrolling down here, you can see your requested receipt date, requested ship date. I mean, that's pretty obvious what that is. Mode of delivery. So on it. Delivery terms. And sales taker. Obviously, that would just be me. So we can see that on our customer record, this was called employee responsible. Here on the sales order, it's called sales responsible. It's the same thing though.
What's pool? Did you just go over that?
No, I don't, We don't really use that.
Okay. Well, it's gotta stay on there.
No,
Or
you can
customize
say
it for yours.
personalize
Okay,
and then hide it.
that's where you do that.
You just have to save, go up here and save as, and then make that your default, and then it will be gone forever.
Just like everything. Okay.
So it is like a little bit of initial like setup things and like creating your views and like what you want to see, but once you have them there, then they're there forever. So I'm just gonna say, okay. And here, this just automatically opened up our sales order. I didn't do anything, but press the OK button. So we have two important things on a sales order. We have a sales order header, and we have sales order lines. So we can see here that our header up here and our lines, there's also line details too. All of this is collapsible, except for the lines. But if you just didn't want to see the header, just make it go away by just clicking on it. Well, you can also come here onto this little drop down and make that also go away. So up here in our header, we can see that this is just my view, but y'all can customize this to show you anything that you want to. And there might be something on here that you don't really see, you don't really know where it is. There's like another little tab over here that you can barely see. It's called header. And this will show you even more information than you can possibly even want. It's almost the same as like kind of a customer record, where it will just show you a whole bunch of crap. But if you ever want to know what their invoice account is, just tab over here onto the header. Here's their invoice account. Okay.
Where should we see that logo on the side?
So
This is the exact same information.
everything on our header, a lot of this stuff on our header is like what we have customized on here. But if for some reason you just cannot remember what this customer requisition is supposed to be, you can just go out here and just say, this is about supposed to be your PO number. And it just changed it to PO number. Obviously, go up here, save as, and it will always show up as PO number. Now, something to note though, is that if you call the help desk and say, my PO number changed from blah, 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 I'm gonna say, I don't know what you're talking about. Because for you, it says PO number, but I don't know what you're talking about, because in the system, it's called something else. So always just keep that in mind, that if you do change the names of these, that we might get a little bit confused on what you're really talking about. So we have to be a little bit universal on that kind of stuff.
Another thing on this screen is like you can also move the each little items around. Like if you know you need customer reference, you need a PO number, you need shipment notes, and you want them all at the beginning and not spread out, you can move those around to. Yeah, I think it. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, okay, so, sorry, I did not walk through that very good. So in any of the white space when you're on your header, you can just right click, personalize, and then say personalize this page. So what she was talking about with moving, you would just say, change over to your little move tool, and then you'll be able to move any of these anywhere you want. I'm just gonna close that. But of course, after any of these changes that you make, always click up here, save as, and then save your view.
And then here you can make any of them required fields. Like for us, we always have PO number. We always have
It's a lot of initial like setup,
we always have.
but as I said, like once you've got it down, then that's how it's gonna be for a while. Okay, so I guess one other thing to note on this header is that we have this field called show tracking on BOL. It looks like it just automatically turned on, but I mean, you can turn it off if you didn't want the tracking number to show up on your bill of lading. But if you did, you just type in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once you go to post the BOL, there it is. Another thing is this status ID, which we do have status IDs in here. So this is a field that CP lives and breathes by. So they really, really focus on this status ID, which I don't know if y'all really use this or not. Maybe you will if you need to indicate it's okay to ship. But this is something that we have on like our batch reserve and pick screens and then our batch packing. So you can actually filter the status to say what orders are okay to ship those, and then you're out the door. But I don't know if y'all want to make this required or.
So if you were to put okay to ship, technically the warehouse guys knows, hey, I can go get this done.
Exactly.
Well, I think,
That's the goal.
I think for you, tell me if I'm wrong, but you would be more likely to just need like on hold. Like, or if somebody placed an order, but they're not gonna pick it up for a day or two, you would wanna see what's on hold, right?
As long as payment's there, or it's in that account, we try to knock that out as soon as we get it.
Pending payment, click there.
Just to get that jump on it.
Well, I mean, I didn't know if you have people who wanna come pick it up in a couple of days. Call ahead.
You know, sometimes, depends on which location you're in.
Houston West gets it a lot. I think that's on the PG side, so.
And we can actually manage these where if you were to click on, I don't think we have it set up in TurfHub, but say if a sales rep clicks on hold for this status, they would not be able to post a packing slip, invoice it, anything. It completely stops you.
Technically, we're not, you can't really get it going.
Yeah.
The only status ID that will allow BOL creation and invoice creation is okay to ship. That just is kind of like they'll say for us, like, we know if it's not okay to ship, it's not going out the door.
Yeah.
So let's say when we're creating a sales order, we process everything is done, but then customer, and it's already been sent to the warehouse. If a customer calls back and says within, giving us it's okay to go, to cut and everything, customer calls us within the next 2 hours and says, well, we want to add, this to our sales order. Do we have an automatic, can we go out there and actually adjust? Do we have to create a new sales order? Or do they have to close that warehouse order so that way we can adjust?
You can add to the sales order at any
Yeah,
point. It would just
automatically.
be communication with them, letting them know, like, hey, the customer's added, whatever, but you can automatically just add to the sales order.
Okay.
Especially you get edit, right, edit your order.
And then they can print a new, like if you let the warehouse know, then they can print a new pick list so that they are not leaving off something.
And when a customer customer calls and says, okay, well, I want a 300 square feet, but then they says, no, never mind, it's already been processed, and the customer goes, never mind, I kind of need a 165, square feet now. What happens? Do we have to, when it comes to warehouse and us, what would be the best way to do it? Do we have to if a payment's already been processed, do we have to do a refund like we do now? Do we have to?
Yeah, I think it depends like where that order is, like in the warehouse. Like if they've already cut it, you've already accepted payment, then there will be steps
Same
that we
with
would have to take.
accessories, because customers like, well, I don't need that many no more. I need to, subtract,
Yeah.
take less.
Yeah, if you've already taken payment for it on the front end, you would have to do a credit for it.
Yeah, and like if the
How do we
rolls
do
are.
it here with the
Put their orders in.
dynamic?
The guys come, have been before.
So like say on the sales order line, say on any sales order line, they wanted 300 bags of sand. And then you've processed that and they come back and like, oh, we want to deduct it to 150.
So it's just pretty much the
You
same.
can just go to the sales order and change the
Just
quantity.
change it.
As long as it hasn't moved on.
Yeah.
And then when completely moved on and invoiced.
Then it's a credit memo, there's no other way after it's invoice or after.
Well, it's not gonna invoice until the night anyway, so even if it has
Just make
shipped
a
or
sales order
the
for
customer's there,
And then
it's not gonna get to the invoice
Which makes
until
it
Yeah, so if you
easier
have to
for
activate,
them.
just create another order.
With the same PO.
And since you said credit memo, so there's two steps to returning stuff in Dynamics. You start it all from the sales order, but you do negative lines to return it, the inventory into the system, and then you create a credit memo at the same time in Dynamics. But you have to do both because just doing a credit memo wouldn't put the inventory back.
Yeah.
And then just doing a negative line without doing the credit memo
Doesn't give
process
them a,
wouldn't give them the credit. So
Mhm.
we'll show you. It's a-
Yeah, no, that's a whole different, that's a whole different, that's a whole another day.
Yeah. This is the basics today.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're way ahead of the carts ahead of the horse.
Right.
We
Way,
haven't even
yeah,
processed the
created
sales
one.
order.
we barely created a sales order.
Mhm.
Are we following so far though?
yes.
Created a customer, created a sales order. Now we're about to create some names.
I think I took everything out at the top. There's no entry.
Yeah, I didn't really put anything
Oh, okay.
there. Yeah, we don't have like our AvaTax stuff set up, so it won't like validate addresses right now. So I just let it go on. Okay, so down here in our sales lines, you can see, of course, Johnny just says AvaTax is set up. So we can see that there's a lot of stuff on these sales lines. And if that is just way overwhelming for you guys,
You can take,
You
you can
can-
delete and hide.
you can say hide this column. And obviously there's ones that you need, so be careful with doing that. But some of these, yeah, you can just say hide. But as we can see, the list is quite long,
Yeah.
yes. But don't worry, we don't need all of them. Main ones to note, obviously this item number. Y'all know what this is, a product. We have like named them a little bit differently in our system as to what they were in QuickBooks or NetSuite. So in order to find them, if you just know like kind of the name of them, you can go under this product name and then filter it to say all play. Just type in like keywords. So if you know that like it's Benda board, just put Benda and then apply. And then you'll find all the Benda board. Nails, same thing, just put in nail. And then you should be able to find it. And you can make this bigger. Like if you're not seeing the whole description, you can make it bigger, any of these. But what y'all are really gonna be looking at is this product name.
I did want to mention on that, where she's talking about those products. When I put those products in, that product name is the name that you have in QuickBooks. So you know it so well, you should be able to do a contains for that product name in the search name, and you'll be able to find whatever it is you need, because the item number that will show up on orders and stuff is new, like turf all plate -WH. But you can search the name by your name.
I think you can even, Maggie, try to, if you don't care, just like in the item number, try to type all plate. I think it pulls it up there also.
No, I think it's
It has
going
a
by
turtle.
the intern.
I will show you
But ours
something,
does that.
I will show you something neat. Go ahead and go over there. Now go to, turf, the drop down on the item number, and you can do this on every search out there, okay? And the item number, click on that to do a filter, Maggie. And do contains, begins with works as well. But you can do turf, star, star, play. So if you know that two of those words are in there, but you don't know what that middle word is and you can't find it, that will pull up for you as well. So you can use a star just like, hey, I want any character in between this, but I want those two words to show up.
Well, can you just put all in there now that you changed it to contain? Or would it pull up all?
Yeah.
So that,
Just because the address.
I was asking, now that you changed it to contains, you could just put in all, and it would pull up all for you.
Or you're gonna do an address setup.
Right.
No, it didn't.
Okay, so once you've found the product that you're trying to sell, you just click on it. And we can see here, this, some of this stuff already filled in for us, like the unit, which is always gonna be square feet. Site and warehouse, this is gonna come from what you put on this site and warehouse up here on the header. So if this says Dallas, what's gonna be transferred onto these lines is gonna say Dallas. And this is always gonna be, the site and warehouse here on this line is gonna be where you're shipping it out of. Because this is where your inventory needs to come from.
And then with this one, kind of the question I have.
It's not gonna let you move it.
One
Off
of
of
these,
that.
the sales order lines that everyone can kind of go for like square footage first,
When you get that red.
roll next, just to kind of keep it in line.
Hard stuff.
What do you mean
You
exactly?
can't do. You can't do
So
either.
you know how I was trying to say like each person that had customer service has their own set of rules or set of
Yeah.
columns, I should say. Can we make this the same, just have columns all together?
Your view.
Or is it just
Yeah.
personalization?
Yeah.
Yeah, just personalizing, yeah, and we can, like, one of the system admins will have to create that view, and then,
Price, get roll numbers, get the things we need on there, and just
Right.
kind of have
It
a
should be good
default
to
for
keep on
everybody to
just
kind
like
of
do
go
the
through
sales
there.
order and
Yeah.
try
Help
to
them
like
grasp it a little
actually
easier.
say
and
it.
all these, obviously with the same, you can drag them and put them anywhere you want to.
In that, I know you guys may look at things a little differently than like we do on the CP side, but for just like, this is the turf I need, this is the quantity, like in the favorite setup, there's, you'll see like the sales order line. It tells you like a good way of like to start, okay, inventory item first, then product name, then like quantity, then unit. Like it's a good base of like, to not have all that stuff that you don't really need set up. Then you can just move them around to what fits you best. But
Right.
there's a good start in that.
And obviously we're in the process of loading all
Like you
the
can see.
price levels, so depending on whatever price
Make sure
level
you
this
save this.
customer has,
Move them, 'cause if you don't save
it
it,
will default
it's gone away.
automatically into our, this unit price right here. Okay, so I think honestly, I know you see a lot of stuff, but site, warehouse, item number, and then just quantity, price, that's really it. So I'm gonna put in 150 square feet. And so, let me move this back.
To add another one, you just add one.
Right, you just would right click and you say insert.
Can you technically kind of right click, copy and paste? Like if we have multiple 10-footers,
Oh,
kind of just like,
okay, I see
you
what
know,
you're saying.
10, duplicate.
So would it be the same item number? Or different, would it be like,
Same, 'cause it should be like if it's just categories as turf all play, and then you know we have
Unless
a
it's an
million
individual
rules
role,
about
it might be different.
okay,
number.
Yeah,
Serial,
So-
serial numbers will.
okay,
That one cut on, you know, 4 cuts on one row.
yeah, so we can, let's just do that now.
Sorry, I don't mean to jump ahead, I just kind
No,
of
you're
trying
fine.
Here, she
Let's
said put
just-
in 600 square feet or something.
Okay, yeah, let's do 300 square feet. I'm gonna put in just a random unit price, and you can change these at any time. So like I told you how it's gonna default to that price level. It's gonna tell you like, here's what that price level is. At any moment, you can come in here and change that to whatever you want. I'm gonna put in two. Okay. So here's where things get really tricky. Put on your list on yours. So there's two ways to set up roll cuts. And I'm gonna show you both. I'll show you the old school way first. And this is how Jessica knows how to do it. So down here in our line details, there's a lot of stuff down here, actually, that I haven't mentioned. But you can change the text of this if you wanted it to say something else. All this stuff, I mean, we don't really, if you just wanted to go look through it, you can.
If you look at the very first page on the, in the book that I gave you, the order confirmation, under that general tab right there, Whatever you put in that text box is what the customer is gonna see on their order confirmation. That's what's gonna print on the order. So like we usually put, for us, like we would put what the customer calls the turf, maybe like what back end it is, what color it is, and then we would put like what roll sizes the customer wants so they can see that populate on. But anything you put in that text box is gonna populate on the actual confirmation of the order. All right, go ahead.
Thanks for that, because I did not know that.
But that's on the product card, so it's gonna populate for everybody's product card.
No, only on the sales order.
Only on this sales order?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So it's not changing the product card, I got it.
No.
No.
Okay, so we have something called roll cut setup. And here is where you would add your cuts that you want for this specific line. So if I were to go and create a different line of like coastal blend, and I had already added roll cuts onto this line, you wouldn't see anything here. Does that make sense? Okay, so here's where we're gonna add some roll cuts on here. And we're gonna say new, and this is probably not the way that y'all are gonna be doing it. So I'm just showing y'all this way, just so you kind of have it in the back of your head, like how things are going here. And so I just pressed the new button and all of this just populated. And here's where you would enter the cut width in feet, 15, length, I'm gonna say 10. And there's a lot of other stuff on here, like a shipment comment that we like to use a lot, complete roll. Whenever this goes through the make cut process, this will change to yes, to indicate this roll is done. Side mark, as we talked before, this will show up on the roll label.
Actually, the cut position ID side mark is the one that shows up on the label.
Okay, and then what's this regular side mark?
What do we use that for?
So the side marks where they write.
Cut table can see that information, that
Okay.
side mark information.
Okay,
But the cut position ID side mark is the one that actually will print on the roll ticket.
okay.
Jessica, what am I doing when I do the time sheets?
So I'm gonna say new again, and I'm gonna add a second cut on here. So we have two 15 by 10s. And you can change this requested cut date. You can see that it just defaulted to today. You can change that for 2 weeks from now. Whatever you want to be on there. Change any of this stuff that you want. And we have something called TCR, which stands for toggle cut ready, which means that, hey, this is ready to go. And what this is doing in the code in the back is that it is saying 15 by 10 times 15 by 10, adding that square footage amount, and saying that equals the line that you have. Or it's telling you, no, that's under, or it's over.
Oh.
So if I were to put in 15 by 2, it's gonna tell me, hey, this is under. Are you sure you want to do this?
Less than the square foot that you put on the top line.
Right, so it says, this is telling you, it's just a warning. You can still, it says, do you want to toggle cut ready? I can still say yes, if we know that we're gonna add cuts later. But in this instance, I'm just gonna say no. But it is telling you the total cut square feet is 180 less than the delivery remainder, which is our 300 quantity.
How do we know how much?
So I'm gonna change this back to 10.
So that'll get rid of the error in QuickBooks.
From here?
Them typing in
I meant
15 by
right here,
blank
right.
and being wrong for the square
Quantity, it
footage.
shows
Mhm.
the 15 by 10 and the 15
So,
by 10. If you put TCR cut
If we
match,
say TCR cut match, I changed this, but these both to 15 by 10. So now we just got this little message that's saying it matches the sales line. And what this is doing is this throwing both of these cuts onto our schedule cut screen. And that's letting whoever's looking at the schedule cut screen, hey, you need to assign inventory and send it to the cut table. Now, that's one way of doing it. Here's a different way of doing it that y'all will probably do.
I did not add the roll cut setup in here.
Okay,
I didn't.
and they probably won't use it,
That's why.
but if y'all,
So, you got something else going, sorry.
okay. I'm just gonna add a different type of turf. And we're also gonna say 300 square feet. For 150. Okay. So this is the way that y'all will probably do your processes for roll cuts. So we have a button here called Quick Cuts. And so when we click on that, this is gonna open up a little window. And of course, there's no inventory for this.
Thank goodness, been working to get rid of that forever.
I'm just gonna have to add all play again. We're just gonna have to pretend like it's a different curve. Okay, so here's where you see all of your inventory for that item. And you can see that it's showing me inventory for the Fort Worth location. Now you can change that. I think that would be a little tricky. If you really wanted to, I mean, you have to relocate it. And we also added a button here where we can filter by batch number. So then it's going to show me only items with this batch number that I had selected there. So if I were to scroll down to a different batch number, you see how this one says 1? I highlight that and then say filter batch number.
So you can find your batch as easy.
Right. So at this point, this is where you add the roll cuts down here. So we can see here, it already automatically populated with 15. You're able to change that if it's 15 by 2.
12.
Yeah, 12. I'm just gonna say 10, and then I'm gonna say new, and then add another 15 by 10. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select both of these. Well, I guess it only allows you to assign one roll at a time. I'm just gonna do this first one up here, and then say assign roll.
How do we add? Put the roll cuts in right now.
So we can see on our roll cut setup before, we were not able to assign inventory onto that cut. Somebody else would have to do that, or you'd have to go to a different screen and do all that. But from this quick cuts, we're able to assign inventory. Okay, so now we can see that we have a reserve roll there, and I'm gonna go down here and then say assign roll again. So when I press the OK button, this is gonna do that same math that's checking, hey, is the square footage amount correct? Or if it's gonna tell you, no, this is over, or it's gonna warn you again that this is under. And what this is gonna do is, right now, it's gonna send it to schedule cuts, how we were talking about before, or somebody would have to be checking, like, we do have this roll, we are able to use it for a cut, and then send it over to make cuts. This works yet, but we do have a queue here where you could just say, send this straight to the cut table. And nobody would have to check it or anything.
And so my thought is like,
And then once that's assigned, it's okay.
originally, like you may decide to do it where someone else has to validate it before it goes through. But you got days where there's only 2 of you in the building and you don't have an extra person to do that. It may just be like, okay, today, we're just going straight to make cuts. And you could change that on the order.
Right. For this
Make sense?
purposes, we're gonna send it to schedule cuts. Okay, so I'm gonna press the OK button here. Obviously, yeah, there's comments up here that will show up on the make cut screen for the cut table operator. I'm just gonna go press OK. Alright, so at this point, this is where front desk people are probably done. If there's like nails on an order, or
A makeup, gotcha, so even though it's already been sent, it's like hold.
Yes.
I think that we have inventory of this.
Once we see everything, right? So let's say, for example, okay. I'm missing out. And to remove,
Okay,
so I want to remove that.
so if we have this K9 Zap gallon, I don't know what this is, deodorizer on our sales order. If there's only turf, then front desk people, they're probably done with this order. But since we have an accessory on here, front desk is allowed to reserve that inventory. And so how they would do that is, we can see that that roll cut setup also is gone. And now it just says on hand. And we are able, from this screen, or we can just go ahead and pick it.
I would reserve, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I think in most instances that y'all will just reserve the inventory to just, like,
Until they're actually there to pick it.
yeah. Because what that's doing is just like reserving it to that sales order, so you can't go reserve it to a different sales order.
Yes,
It's holding it.
yes.
Yeah, it's
For
just
that
like
customer.
putting a hold on it, right?
Yeah.
So we can just go ahead and reserve this inventory. We can see reservation succeeded, quantity 2.
Can you take off the top 2 lines? So we can do the, show when we do the pick list, it's like just that quick cut and the zap.
Okay, so here's something to note. So you can see for this third line, what I did was went up here into quick cuts. Did y'all see that?
Mhm.
When I said quick cuts, pressed OK, out the door, we're done. It added it automatically down here into our roll cut setup. So how I was showing you the old school way of just adding new here, it's basically the same thing, right? It's just making it a little bit faster for you guys.
Yes.
So if I were to go try to remove this line right now, it would tell me you can't because you have rolls, you have turf cut lines. So in order to remove these, I would just do like this and then say delete.
Then you can delete the top.
And now what that did was just that it deleted them and moved them out of schedule cuts, no longer there, like they never existed. Now, if there was inventory already assigned onto that, I think it would probably give you a different error, telling you like there's already inventory reserved. But yeah, for this testing purposes, we'll just go ahead and remove these lines. So we already have roll cuts on here, 2 roll cuts for 15 by 10, and then inventory reserved as a quantity of 2 for these. Now, this is where front desk, they're done. But I guess somebody else out in the warehouse
What
would be,
about the payment? Like, they would need to take the payment
Oh.
at this point too.
yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, so I totally missed a step. Thank you, Dennis.
No, I just want
They
to,
have
I
to
want to try and do
build it,
it,
then do payment.
Yep,
I want to try and do it in order like they're going to be.
yeah. Sorry. Okay, so up here on your sales order, you have a bunch of different tabs. As you can imagine, there's a whole bunch of things. And something that I think is really useful under the sales order tab is this totals field. So you can see the total of the whole sales order on here. Which I don't think I even have unit prices. I don't. Well, once you have unit prices,
Yeah.
then you're able to see the total of the invoice, the order. $490. I don't know why it's doing that. Oh, I just think it.
We
So,
need to show them, before you do payment, if
Mhm.
it's shipping to add freight charges.
oh, yeah.
They don't ship off the anything.
Oh, yeah, we ship quite a bit. Yeah.
Okay. So in order to add freight, or, is there anything else that we do charges for? Like,
Hot shots.
Well, we do a lot of,
deliveries.
every local delivery's got a charge too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And that's the, it's every order's got.
Deliveries.
some delivery fee.
It's just for freight though, like what we do,
I mean,
not
sometimes
fees.
it can be more depending on how many trips we're going and how far is it going.
Mhm.
So
You know that all up front though, right? Like how many, you would know that up
We've
front?
told the customer that already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then yeah, it would just be,
Okay.
added as a freight charge.
Okay, so before I do anything, we're gonna go up here to our cell tab and then click on this maintain charges button.
Wait, what's that? Sales?
On our sales order, under the cell tab, it's called maintain charges.
So just maintain charges.
Yes.
Okay. And so here's where we would add a charge code. And we have like restocking fee, temporary sales tax. If we want it to show up on the customer invoice, then we would select for a customer. We want it to show up on bill rating.
On the separate carrier invoice. If we're paying the freight, ours is if the customer's paying the freight.
Right.
I didn't know. So you go to sales order.
Whenever you guys ship, you guys charge an upcharge, right, for your freight?
Well, the delivery early enough.
Yeah, it depends on if it's a carrier, we usually just round to the, like if it's $379, we might charge them $390 or something.
Yeah, that's
So you don't have like a specific, that's
Percentage.
from this dollar amount to this dollar amount, add $50.
No, we didn't.
So on the, okay, then that wouldn't matter for you guys
But I
if you
mean,
just round.
But for a delivery charge, we have a fee set up, I think.
We have delivery charges.
Yeah.
So what you have set up, is that, a SKU line or is it in the,
That,
Maintain
a
charges.
delivery fee, if you guys are delivering, delivery fee would be a fee on the line.
And I can
If you have
show,
a carrier,
show us how to add that.
it'll be a fee.
Yeah, we just.
And the reason for that fee is actually, it has a cost involved, right? You got labor and you got loading the truck, so that fee is actually an item, I mean, it's marketable.
Also, when we send sample boxes, we already have a designated, queue line where we could just sample boxes and it generates the amount.
Sample box would probably be an
yes.
item, I don't.
Okay, for samples, you're talking about like a parcel shipment, FedEx or something
Yeah,
like
so
that.
we're already charging, we already have it
Yeah,
like pre.
that's built into the price
That
of the
would be-
sample
Yeah,
boxes?
so we create a sales order, we just put sample box.
If we
and
pay it, you
generates
would add it as a separate carrier invoice. If they pay it, then you would put it on the customer invoice. Part of these charge codes, one of the advantages of it is accounting is actually able to take a carrier invoice and apply it to a charge code that's there. And another thing that's important, if you sell a product, right, let's say you're selling sand for $10 a bag, and you're selling turf for $5 a square foot. And so it's $15 if they get 1 square foot in one bag. But it costs you $500 to ship it, and it's costing us the $500. If we're looking to see how much money we made on that turf, or how much money we made on that sand, we can't say we sold it for $10 because it cost us $250 at least to ship it. Right, so they take, when we are paying, like on a separate carrier invoice, that charge code is applying the freight to those lines, giving us a profit margin of how much we're actually making per item.
So if you guys were to ship like an LTL shipment, I don't know how you guys ship, but if y'all ever ship like LTL, on the separate carrier invoice, that would be how much the freight line is charging us, you guys, to ship the product. And then you would add the second line on the customer invoice, and that would be how much you guys are charging the customer to ship it, so
That's how you
include the
handle the
upcharge.
390. That's how you handle the 390.
Yeah,
Right.
so the separate carrier invoice is how much the freight line is charging you guys to ship the order. And then on the customer invoice is how much they're charging us plus the upcharge. So that is what would be on the invoice.
And that'll be for LTL and FedEx.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense? No, yeah. Sorry.
And obviously, just to add that dollar amount, it's just right here under this charges value.
You hit,
So if we go back out of this and go to look at our, sales total again,
on the separate carrier.
then we're gonna see that charge.
Freight line's charging us $500 to
Well.
ship it.
You added it on the separate carrier.
Oh, right.
Added on the customer invoice, and that will be the total. Charge them 50 to show how we're making money.
Okay, so now
Right.
that's that.
And then you would add a new one, and you would hit some.
There, see? So there's like a total charges here, and that's where you see what that freight amount is.
On the
And then
customer.
the total invoice amount. And something to note here is that when after you invoice this order, if you go and look at this total, it's gonna be gone.
Whenever you. pull the
It's almost like
totals,
Microsoft
pull
uses
this
this as
total,
like
because that's what's on
what's
the
to be
customer invoice, but
invoiced.
That's what we're being charged.
Yeah.
All right, and if you click OK there, Maggie, the reason I came in here, I wanted to show y'all something else. And this is brand new, effective at lunch today. We brought tests down. I had several of you guys email me saying I can't get the test. We brought it down to make a change. If you'll scroll down to those items, the sales order lines, Maggie, and if you click on prices, that's going to show you all of the trade agreement prices that are available. Right?
So that's it.
And we pulled those out of QuickBooks. They should be accurate. And I validated actually that item she used. It's $45 in QuickBooks, no matter.
Accessories, most one, two, three,
Yeah.
accessories.
All right, but cancel that one and go to the turf one above it. And you'll see that we have the price level set up there. And if you select one and say save, it'll change the unit price.
I was
on
asking
the
her
line.
that, like, because normally when we go to our customers, it automatically generates their prices instead of going individually.
not on there.
Well, there are some turf SKUs that we didn't have price levels set up in QuickBooks.
I'm just saying, like on hers, like you don't even see crosses up
Oh,
here.
yeah, I told them not to, because it's new, I told them to put permissions on it to where nobody could see it but admins. Sorry. I needed to test it first. If I showed it to you guys and, like, Maggie, what's your unit price there? Two what? I don't have my glasses on.
$229.
Okay, click on prices and select one of the others and say save, and you'll see it changes that for you, okay?
There you go.
I didn't want it to change every line to $1.89, and then you guys be testing me like, what the heck? Because seriously, we put this in at lunch today,
Okay.
okay?
And that's what goes for accessories and everything else, right?
Everything, and again, we pulled price levels from QuickBooks, not every item had it. And I'm sure there's a few that we missed. As you're testing, if you see an item that doesn't have it, let us know. I started a team the other day so we can share messages. I'm gonna delete that and I'm gonna add it as a chat instead. And that way it shows up in the chat. If it's not there, send it. And I'm not gonna read every message, so if you send one and you feel like, if I didn't say, okay, I've got it added, or Alex doesn't, because he's doing that, then say, Johnny, look at this in bold letters. Get on me, yeah.
Added.
All right.
Thank
I'll get back out
you.
there now.
And just for fun, I'll go ahead and add a line here. And so I think all of our fees will start with fee. And so we can see here, cut fee, handling and storage fee, all that. If there's like a fee that you don't see on here that you know that you guys use all the time, just send it to the help desk. Or even like an item, any products that you are trying to sell that you don't see, send it straight to the help desk, and then we'll get that added.
Did he say delivery was gonna be like that?
If it's not already, we can just add it. We just have to do the free. Yeah, I guess it's not a product yet, but we can add that.
Yeah, I would say just local delivery.
Okay.
Oh, I think she
So
just.
obviously,
Sometimes it'll say hot shot.
They're looking at local delivery.
yeah, we can. I can write that down.
How about chicken delivery? Like, that means like out of state.
We can add like local delivery.
Stop, everybody makes fun of me.
Hamburger and chicken.
Yeah.
So we use local delivery in Hot Shot,
Okay.
CSI.
I guess
You
so
come
much
from
fun. Maybe.
But a
Tater tots?
hot shot would be a regular carrier though, right?
No,
No,
just 'cause every hot shot's different carriers.
Well, no, but I mean, it would be a outside service, like it's not your own truck, so it'd
Then
be
you would
like.
add that in the freight charges.
Yeah,
Outbound
that's a freight
shipping.
charge.
Yeah, something, because we do
You're paying
like
somebody else to
UFS.
do it.
That would be like
That would be
UFS,
outbound.
outbound, or, you know.
You would
Yeah.
just leave it like that, outbound shipping.
And then that's where we add how much we charge the customer, and then
So it wouldn't
go
be,
back to what we just did.
it wouldn't be an actual line item on the sales order, you would just add it in like the sale and the maintain charges.
I think the local delivery would be the only thing I think you would do on a line, because you're not paying anybody else.
Right. And yeah, so like, let's just pretend like this was local delivery. Obviously, since it's not a stocked item, then you wouldn't need to like reserve or pick any of that stuff. Yeah, you just leave it on there, and that's just how it is. Obviously, this isn't set up right, but y'all get the gist. So I guess the last thing we'll talk about today is taking a payment. And Jessica, you might have to explain a little bit more about like the PayFabric, PayLink stuff.
Are we showing them that?
I think that we probably should, just for now, because we currently, here, I'll explain this. So we have a new, we call it a form on here under this Manage tab. It's called RG Payments. And so when you click on this, this is going to be how you'll take a payment from the customer. And we're adding onto here where you can select credit cards that are already saved in our system. But if they're not already saved, then they'll still have to add it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, to add a credit card in the system, if you click the little credit card arrow down right there.
Okay, sorry, this is like loading.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. It sends a wallet link, and either the customer can fill that out. Do y'all use that now?
Yeah, PayFabric?
So, it will send a wallet link to either the customer's email, they can put in their information, or you can send it to yourself and fill it out if they're right there in front of you. It's the same,
So do we
So
hit,
do we do the PayLink here?
if you hit the credit card, and then go to credit card prepayment.
I might just have to go here.
Man, y'all need to get those cameras that shoot paintballs.
Oh, yeah, so
Sign me up.
Okay. So, as Jessica was saying, to add a credit card in the system, you hit this little drop down,
Okay.
and then credit card payment.
So if they have a credit card on file, then you can, you can drop down and select it, and that'll show you the cards that they have on file.
If
Just-
you can't, within Dynamics, you cannot enter a credit card. You can send a PayLink or a wallet link. What a lot of our companies do, so what that drop down is all of their saved cards, right, and wallet link. So what a lot of reps do is they will send a PayLink or a wallet link to their self. And they've got the customer's card and they enter the card in that wallet link or in that pay link and take the payment, and it'll automatically settle. And then from now on, you can just click that drop down. It'll show you the last 4 digits of every card that's saved in the wallet link. And you're like, is this the charge card ending 1234 or 5678? You select the card and then you can make a payment. But Dynamics is not, they don't store credit cards anywhere, right? But PayFabric, that's what we pay PayFabric for. They do.
Are we still gonna be using PayFabric?
Yes.
Okay.
And PayLink will integrate here. You can see right beside of Maggie's link, there's a send capture PayLink. Click on that, Maggie. It'll pull the email address from the customer. There's not an email. Well, there they are. And you can select it, and or you can text them, and it will send them a PayLink from right here. When they pay via their phone or computer or whatever, it comes back here, lets you know that it's been paid, and will mark that sales order paid.
And are they using a terminal still?
They're using terminals, and how we're going to suggest doing terminals. Cancel here, Megan. Click on RG payment. And if you're doing a terminal, you'll just select credit card from here. And you'll enter a reference, like if there's something on the terminal. If you don't want to enter a reference at all, you don't have to. And then you can enter the amount. You'll see the whole sales order total over there. And you'll enter that. Now this is also how you'll do cash. Okay. So cash, if you do a drop down, cash is an option. And then up at the top, you'll click post. And so what it's doing is posting the payment and marking it, right? That the way Dynamics does payments go against the customer, not against an order. But we're marking this order that way when it invoices tonight, it'll show that it's been paid. Just give us a second. In production, this is pretty quick.
Where is it at?
Under manage. Yeah, okay, so I need to update the definition. This is how you'll handle every prepaid payment. And I'm sorry it's just taking a month.
Oh, no, Johnny.
Believe me, I know. The lifetime that I've spent waiting on our test environment.
It's allowing us to process while this is processing.
So does this allow you to process orders without taking a payment, or do you have to have one to process one?
Do not have to have a payment.
Okay.
If it's a prepaid customer and you didn't take payment, it will let you ship it out the door all day long.
Okay.
Okay.
There's nothing that stops it.
On the test system, Maggie, there's some nothing.
Until it hits the
refresh
limit.
up at the top.
Like this right now?
Because we
Go
do,
back to that order and back to that payment.
because we do warranties that we don't put on any account other than Turfo claims, so we don't charge
Yeah, it's
those
all
to
warranty
anything.
claim orders.
See how your son's in the mom.
So those, I would just enter the sales order with the rolls attached to it to process, and then it would just be invoiced with nothing, or?
Yeah, I mean, if they're $0 lines, if they're warranty claims, then you just mark them that they're valid $0 lines.
Okay.
Invoice. Open order. I mean, you don't have to, you can go to our.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah,
and
'cause
so
right
do
now
cash.
it autofills with the pricing that we have on them.
I just noticed that once,
Okay.
for me,
Zero
every time it's
amount
done,
on
just
this
refresh
system.
and going back, it
Okay.
actually works pretty quick.
It's been 4 years.
Show up on
It may not this time,
times at the end of the day.
Once you get it cleaned up and you get your columns
Yeah.
down to like what you want to see, it's very easy. Like I know I gotta put item, it populates product.
That's
I
easy,
put my
because right now I have to
quantity,
try to match
I have my match
the new
status.
warranty
Because
orders
use the
with like the
TCR cut
original
match.
invoice
Lower.
to
Have
try
the
to
unit price.
equal it out when they
Like
run a
it's
report.
all there and I can see it. I even have over here like reserved.
So one thing I didn't really mention before, so if I'm in all sales orders here, you don't have to click into the sales
Yeah,
order,
my email.
in order
say
to-
that, but
like view the total for the sales order,
Gotcha.
or add freight,
And we've-
anything that you can do up in these
And we've
tabs.
added a column called invoice total that you can put in the grid as well.
Yeah,
So you don't have to
this
Scroll up
invoice
at the
go
top.
on.
Goodness gracious. Alright, so I'll tell you what happens when, you'll see a little box open up on the right that'll show you every payment on an order. So if you had multiple payments on a given order, it'll show you the multiple payments. And at the top, you see payment receipt. So once you take that payment, you can click payment receipt, and another window, the receipt will open up, so you can start working while that receipt is opening up, print it, hand it to the customer, and they're done.
There.
There it is. Well, there's the box I was talking about. And so now that the payment's been made, you'll click on payment receipt and notice how a new window will pop open. You can go back, Maggie, to the other one. And now you can go back in here and start working and do your other things. And then click on the payment receipt. That may take a second.
Production is.
Well, here, I'm gonna get technical with you guys, if y'all wanna know some programming stuff. Anytime that we make a customization and we compile the code and build it and we update UAT with programming changes, the way Dynamics works is the first time you open a form, it's compiling the code behind the scenes and making it efficient. After it's done it once, it doesn't do it again. It just works. It's called like an execution plan. After an execution plan is built, it will reuse that execution plan and the forms open up quicker. So if you want to know why a test was slow today, it's because we did that at lunch.
Gotcha, I forgive you then.
All right, so that's basically it, once that receipt pulls out.
Sounds good.
I've done that about 20 times in a day, and they're normally pretty quick. This report is pretty quick, actually.
All right.
Does that wrap up our sales order?
Yeah.
Well, there's your receipt, thank goodness in heaven. Okay, so you can print that, give it to the customer may not want one, the credit card receipt may be enough if you do a credit card charge on the terminal. So whether you click and pull up the receipt, it'll be up to you.
So if you want to print it, you just press this little print button right here, and then it automatically will come up like that, and then you just print. Now, if you want to save it as a PDF, oh my god.
Yeah, everything's gonna be a little slow.
She's so afraid.
So she's waiting on that. What do y'all think? Sales order wise, I mean, yeah, I mean,
It's very detailed, but it doesn't seem crazy.
yeah.
Once you get your hands on it and like know where you're going and what you're doing, sales order entry is a breeze.
We have worked really, really hard to try to follow the path that y'all have given us, right? With the way you do QuickBooks and the way you do the payments. There are some rules, unfortunately, for the world of accounting that we have to abide by. It is what it is. But I feel like after you learn where to click and what to do, I can do those 5 forms I showed you today. I can do every bit of that in under 30 seconds for a given order. So will you within a couple months.
One thing that's important on the sales order, it's always important to confirm the sales order after every change. Like, say the customer orders 2 15 by 10s, they come back, you have it entered for a 15 by 10, they come back and they want to add square footage or whatever. It's very important to make sure that every single time you make a change that you reconfirm the sales order. If not, there's no traceability in the system of what changed and when it changed or anything like that. It's very important.
So we can look at how to confirm a sales order. So this is one of those things you don't have to click into a sales order like I just did. You could just do it from that all sales order page. But if you did want to confirm it, I think it's just under the sell tab. And do you press confirm or do you say confirm now? I think they do the same thing.
We You can, they do the same thing. You can do either one.
Okay, I'm just
I
gonna say
mean,
confirm now.
I do confirm now,
Okay,
but
so under the cell tab, you just say confirm now. And then it should pop up a little window.
everything that she just did on the sales order is literally like step by step. Like even hit save, hit the back button, it's step by step in here.
While that's waiting as well, how I was gonna say earlier, this export button, you can come up here and export it as a PDF, and it will just automatically go into your downloads. And so you can download it, upload it to SharePoint, do whatever you want to do with it. You can open it up, there it is. Print it from here.
Look at the one that you,
from yesterday and then add to the rankings today.
you can go to like, go to that sales order that you entered under your name.
I don't have anything saved to be
What?
honest.
It saves everything.
Are you gonna do it in the olive? Or clover?
Are we going over more of this tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay.
We've only covered about half
I
of
was
everything.
hoping we get to the inventory
Yeah.
parts.
Yeah, warehousing will be tomorrow.
That's gonna be a huge part for me and Landon,
Bigger, okay.
Oh, sorry.
as well as things
You get that in there.
Factory director.
So now I just press that confirm button, and now under this journals tab,
Oh,
we see a
okay,
sales
sorry,
order
gotcha.
confirmation.
Maybe the same thing, just different color.
So all of the journals, as in like bill of lading, or packing slip, whatever y'all call it, invoice, confirmation, they all post a journal. So whenever you open it, it looks like this, and you're like, where's it at? There's like this little button up here that says preview print, press on that, and then original preview.
You can.
And this will actually open up the confirmation. Now for the bill of lading and the invoice, you can actually just make it already print to your screen. But if you want to go back and look at it, you have to open up the journal, preview print, original preview, then it will come up.
It's not slow,
I guess 84,000. Seal green urethane. With hole.
So does anybody have any questions?
So tomorrow we move to the warehouse part? Okay.
so look right here, we have a link.
I wonder if there's still people online. Oh, there's some people still.
The batch number, or if you wanna know any details about the role, you can click on it.
Well, if that's all for today, I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording. And probably just go ahead and end this meeting,
Okay.
and y'all can be about your day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Meg.
Thanks.